Warning: the following podcast contains strong language which some listeners may find offensive. If you do,
up yours! That's only if you don't listen to the podcast. Otherwise, not up yours.
ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages above the age of 18, it's the second annual Untitled Wrestling Podcast End of Year Awards for 2021. My name's Troy, and all of us are here, Jay, Aaron, and Tasty. How are we, fellas?
Yeah, not bad. I was going to say, you said kids above 18. If you let your kids listen to this, they won't take it off you.
I think our youngest listener's 11, to be fair.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's fine.
He doesn't count. Matthew, you're cool.
Just don't repeat the bad things we say.
Yeah, so don't say anything we say.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Second annual End of Year Awards. We have 13 categories this year. We put it out as we did last year to all of our listeners and followers to decide on a shortlist that we'd put together. We'd chosen 2 for each category and then shortlisted it down to 1. And then we put it out on Twitter and Facebook for all of you to decide on an eventual winner. So firstly, thank you very much to everyone. Really, really big numbers of people that voted on these on both Facebook and Twitter. So thank you to everyone that chucked in a vote. It was a small time frame, it was 24 hours, but yeah, some really, really good interaction. So thanks for that. If you want to let us know before we start what you thought of the categories, the entries for each one, if you think we got it wrong, if you think we got it right, if you think there were any glaring omissions, which some people on Twitter definitely seem to think there were, and we will get into that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that. If there's anything you want to pull us up on, give us a shout on social media, on Facebook at Untitled Wrestling Podcast, on Twitter and Discord at Untitled Rest Pod. So, without further ado, let's crack on. We will start with the award for Most Improved. The nominations were Tay Conti, A-Kid, Bron Breakker, and Miro. So, do we want to go through each of our choices, give a quick rundown of why we selected them for Most Improved? Who chose Tay Conti?
That would be me. Obviously, resident AEW mark here. No, I just think so. Tay Conti's obviously gotten like a hell of a lot better. She was never. She came in with quite a decent floor and a very high ceiling when she came into AEW, and she's just been getting better and better every week. This year in particular, she had some excellent matches. She had a sort of a saga with Nyla Rose where she finally beat her, which was for a long time my favorite women's match of the year. In AEW, it was excellent. They told a really good story, and she's, like you say, she's just got more confident. She's worked on her character a lot. She's got better in the ring. She's gotten more competent in terms of actual wrestling, and it all sort of came together. I think at Full Gear, like when she came out and stood on the entrance ramp with that Brazilian flag behind her and the makeup on and the gear, she looked like she'd properly arrived as a wrestler. Like she looked like it was her moment, and yeah, that was for me. That was like, right, that's it. She's made it. She's there now.
Agree. Good shout. Jay, I believe you chose A-Kid.
I did. So you've just got to kind of look at the last kind of 12, maybe 14 months A-Kid's had. Like he went from being a guy who was considered an underdog in the tournament for the Heritage Cup to winning the whole thing. And then I don't think he's had a bad match this year. Like every single match he's had has been, it's not even been like it's been just good either. It's been like amazing. Like, yeah. The one that comes to mind is the Iron Man match he had with Jordan Devlin. That was incredible. He had a really good match with Walter, like in January. Mm-hmm. That was ridiculous as well. And even like last week, he had that match with Nathan Fraser.
Yeah.
On NXT UK, which again, banging. And you can just see like he's only like 22, 23. You can just see like
real young.
How much he's developing and how quickly. And I think if, as sad as it makes me to say, if he gets out of NXT UK and kind of goes onto a bigger stage, I feel like he'll be in the argument for like best in the year in like about 5-6 years time.
Yeah, agreed.
Because he's just so good.
Yeah. Aaron, Bron Breakker.
No, I don't have his name, but you can improve between like in littler than 12 months. It is possible.
Yeah,
yes, we all agree on that. Yes.
Of course.
You can show up, be as green as goose shit, as another guy said on Twitter to me when he agreed with me.
Hang on, someone agreed with you on Twitter?
Someone agreed with me on Twitter.
That's a first.
The bots, mate.
I don't believe you.
Oh,
was it one of your Russian bots again?
No.
What was that? His name's at Sergey. You sure?
Sergey 1235792.
Sergey Babes 1995.
Yeah, basically, first time we seen him, he was some shitty little security guard, and him called Kyle O'Reilly, just wandering about with all the lads. We saw him in his first match. I can't remember who it was against, but his first 2-3. There you go, LA Knight. That was it in the opening match. It was all right. It wasn't the best. It looked a bit rough. And then we got the ladder match versus Johnny Gargano. The match he's had with Tommaso Ciampa.
Mm-hmm.
They were both absolute bangers.
His War Games performance.
His War Games performance was ridiculous. That ending to the match will always be ridiculous.
Good standout,
Yeah. That's all I've got to pretty much say. Like, yes, he's not been there a whole year, but
as you say, like people can improve in like if they get it, it clicks sort of thing. You could use people like Kurt Angle as an example, like how quickly he picked it up. And yes, he came from an amateur wrestling background, Olympic wrestling background, but that's very different to coming into like sports entertainment sort of thing. And he seems to have picked it up real quickly. So good shout. And finally, my choice was Miro. As you know, I don't watch an awful lot of AEW, but Miro is always someone that I've got a kind of vested interest in. I liked everything he did in WWE and Rusev. And I know initially it was very stop-start and they were kind of unsure what to do with his character. And it was just kind of, he plays video games and this is his character. It was a bit weird. And then, you know, everything with Kip Sabian and stuff. And then there wasn't really anything. And it was almost like this kind of like rejuvenation, this reinventing of his character. And it was just a fucking monster. And kind of what he did early on in WWE before the kind of like the Rusev Day stuff. And it's just out there being an absolute kind of killer, and everything from his in-ring stuff to his promos as well. It's just been really, really fascinating to watch, certainly over the last year. Everything he did with the TNT Championship as well was really, really fun to watch. So that was why he was my pick. Anyhow, the results. So I can announce that in fourth place is A-Kid. In third place was Miro. Second, Bron Breakker. And in first, Tay Conti.
There you go.
The percentages for us, Jay.
Yeah, so this was, it was a bit closer on Twitter, but still pretty much a landslide for Tay Conti. So on Twitter, Tay got 57%, A-Kid got 4%. Bron Breakker got 19 and Miro got 20. And then on Facebook, Tay got 77% of the vote. A-Kid got nothing. Bron Breakker got 23 and Miro got nothing either. So
Facebook
that was what
love Tay.
Yeah. So when you go into averages, Bron Breakker edged it over Miro to get into second place.
At least we can now say that some people watch NXT 2.0.
I think Bron Breakker in second is fair though. Like Miro, first of all, Miro had my favorite title run of 2021. Absolutely, if that was a category, I'd be voting for Miro on that unquestionably. But Bron Breakker, as Aaron said,
for next year.
I was just about to say that could be a good one for next year.
From 6 months to go from like literally an extra to like main eventing a takeover.
Yeah.
Either WWE are really fucking thin on the ground for talent, or he's really put the work in and gotten a lot better, and they see a lot in him, or a bit of both.
I think it's a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B.
Even his last match, like last week against Roderick Strong, was pretty good.
Yeah, man.
He's now, for better or for worse, he's now carrying that entire brand. And to be put in that position so early in your career means they must see an awful lot in you.
Yeah. Right. In a week's time, he'll be NXT champion. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Right. Who wants to take the next one?
Right. Okay. I'll go next. We'll go. So next was Breakout Star. So obviously this is like the award for whoever we thought had like sort of the end of the year in a better position than they started. It's not quite most improved in that it's like it's more a case of who's captured like the sort of the public sort of imagination, I suppose, more than like who's gotten physically better in the ring. So our nominations were A-Kid again, Danhausen, Daniel Garcia, and in brackets, and his dad's, and Eddie Kingston. So start with you, Troy. I think you had A-Kid for this one, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Much of what Jay just said, which is why he was your pick for most improved. Before the Heritage Cup, like people had kind of seen him, and he'd had a few matches, but never really got to showcase kind of what he was about, and the kind of versatility that he brings in the ring. And then the Heritage Cup really, really displayed that, and the Heritage Cup lends a lot to him being able to kind of portray that in that each round of it, someone brings a different flavor, a different kind of way that they're going to try and overcome their opponent. And yeah, I think the Heritage Cup really gave him that platform to show like how good he is, how versatile he is, what he can do. And not even just the Heritage Cup, as you said earlier, Jay, matches against people like the Iron Man match against Devlin, the match against Walter, and numerous others. But yeah, I just think he's been awesome on a brand like NXT UK as well, where they seem to be really good at kind of I don't want to say making kind of new stars, but it feels like a very kind of level playing field. There's not this kind of clear cut. These are the two people that are kind of out there in front. Like they do a really good job of building everyone up to a similar level so everyone feels credible. So to stand out in a brand, a division where everyone is kind of level pegging is really impressive. So yeah, that's why it was my pick.
Okay, next up was Danhausen, which I believe was you, Aaron.
Yeah, look at his Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was a wrestler who won the Internet Award, then it would
have to be,
yeah.
Look at his Twitter. He does, before Ring of Honor died, he did have a good amount of matches in there before he got injured as well. Yeah, look at his Twitter. If AEW doesn't sign him, there's something wrong because he's in their back pocket and he's not even signed with them. Or maybe he is. We don't know.
And
they've got merch inspired by something.
Yeah, he's done more to get Billy Gunn and the Gun Club over than they ever have.
Whoa,
yeah,
whoa.
Yeah.
Show some respect to Billy Ass and the Ass Boys, the living legends.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's all you need to say.
Really. He won the internet like consistently for the entire 12-month period of 2021.
We actually have a channel in our Discord solely to him.
Yeah,
totally
because of this.
Yes,
Channelhausen.
Very nice, very evil. Right next up, then we had Daniel Garcia and his dad, which I believe was you, Jay. His dad's, of course, referring to 2.0, our favorite new tag team.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, when Daniel Garcia debuted for AEW this year, I didn't have a clue who he was. All I knew was Aaron said he was really good, which meant for me that okay, he's been on the Indies, he's probably made a bit of a name for himself. And because he came in with 2.0, I didn't think anything. I thought he was there just to make up numbers because it was in a 6-man tag. How wrong I was. Genuinely one of the best technical wrestlers around at the moment. He's so good. Been having dream matches with people like Minoru Suzuki, Jonathan Gresham, Davey Richards. He went an hour with Wheeler Yuta.
Yeah, so apparently in 1 week he wrestled Minoru Suzuki, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, Alex Shelley, and someone else. And it's like, fuck me. What a resume.
Yeah.
Wow. Some people don't even get to tick them off in a career.
Yeah. He had that match with CM Punk as well, where it was, for me, it was probably Punk's best non-pay-per-view match he's had in AEW.
Yeah.
And then you look at 2.0 as well, because obviously I did put them in there with Daniel Garcia. The fact that they went from being guys who were literally doing stuff on the NXT Twitter, endlessly entertaining, but not really given a chance to have a spotlight, to being featured heavily in AEW, BTE.
They wrestled Sting.
They wrestled Sting this year, yeah. That says it all, really. Like, they wrestled Sting, they wrestled John Moxley, Eddie Kingston. And again, they're just so entertaining, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, Big Magic Matt Lee is genuinely one of my favourite wrestlers on telly at the moment, just because he's so funny.
They're just the perfect like foils, aren't they, for anyone? Like, because you just want to see them get the dicks kicked in, and it's great, and it's really funny when they do.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, and finally was my pick, which is Eddie Kingston. Now it feels a bit weird making a breakout star pick of someone who's 40 years old and has been wrestling since 2002. But hear me out. This was the year that Eddie Kingston arrived as a professional wrestler. This feels like the culmination of a lifelong journey. It feels like he's finally gotten to a place he deserves because of his talent, because of his passion, because of his just sheer love for the business. And for me, this was sort of solidified at Double or Nothing when him and John Moxley came out, and it was Eddie Kingston in an AEW ring in front of a full crowd for the first time. You just got the feeling like we were all watching it in Jay's and we're like, this feels special. This is something here.
Yeah.
And it's continued throughout the year. Like the pops he gets when he just comes out and he doesn't even do anything. He just appears and like the pops are like him and Bryan Danielson got a standing ovation during a match.
It's incredible.
Like literally in the middle of a match. He is for someone who did retire, he sold his gear to pay his mortgage after the start of the pandemic before he got signed by AEW. For a man who was out the door like 3/4 of the way to all of a sudden just turn it around, and now he's one of the most respected, beloved, and appreciated members of a stacked AEW roster.
Don't forget as well, to a guy that, as you say, sold all of his stuff, but also to a guy that WWE wanted to hire as a referee.
Yeah. Well, they got him in the Performance Center, and he cut a promo saying about how he got shot at on the street, and like you just saw like the WWE writers look at him like he just like said something unmentionable, and he was looking like, this ain't happening for me then. And he just like from that minute that he wasn't going to get signed. And yeah, it's unbelievable. It's a true rags to riches story. Like it's a real life Hollywood story with a fairy tale ending for someone who really desperately deserves. And the man can cut a promo on fucking anything. Like literally had bits on BTA, him cutting promos on cookies and like Sour Patch Kids. And his match against CM Punk was one of my favorite matches of the year. Not saying the best match of the year, but like they managed to build a must-see match in 2 weeks with like 2 promo segments.
Yeah.
Which was just incredible. So yeah, I know it's not your traditional breakout star, but I think Eddie Kingston's had a career year.
Absolutely.
So then we'll go to the results. So in 4th place, it was A-Kid. Which I think is a bit harsh because I think that's a bit harsh because, like as you said, Troy, he managed like the Heritage Cup shouldn't work as a format like for wrestling fans. It should be too cumbersome and too clunky. But A-Kid got it over by himself almost. Which is insane.
Yeah.
Danhausen at 3. Obviously, people on here don't spend enough time on the internet. Sorry, Danhausen.
We all love you. Fans don't spend enough time on the internet.
Next year when he's all elite, he'll smash his cat.
He'll win that with his eyes closed if he wins. If he shows them all elite.
In 2nd place, Daniel Garcia and his dad's again. I think for a lot of people it was the indie stuff, and maybe people weren't aware of how good his indie run has been. Like you say, people were calling his match with Wheeler Yuta like a legitimate match of the year contender. So yeah, and I think the way he's been presented well on AEW, but not to the level of some of the other guys.
Yeah.
And then weirdly, amazingly, everyone agreed with me. Eddie Kingston, breakout star of the year.
Yeah.
But we all love the old beaten up bastard.
Yeah, we all love him here. So
he's the man. I love Eddie Kingston. So yeah, A-Kid only got across both platforms 1% of the votes.
That's disgusting. That's terrible.
To be honest, I think I put it down more to the fact that it just kind of shows how few people watch NXT UK.
That's all it would be.
I'm saying this is an AEW stan. Watch NXT UK.
Yeah,
it's really good.
I think there was a few where like whenever there's been NXT UK people in here, and there's a few more like later on, there is a bit of a pattern where it's like, oh yeah, well that makes sense.
People just thinking like, oh, Alex Kidd on the Mega Drive game. Like, that was years ago. I'm not playing that. I'm not playing that for fucking decades.
So Danhausen and Daniel Garcia on Twitter both got 20%.
Oh.
So I had to go down to the Facebook ones on this, where Daniel Garcia absolutely cleaned up and got 43%.
Oof.
He actually drew with Eddie Kingston on Facebook. They both got 43%.
Wow.
And Danhausen got 14%. And then on Twitter, Eddie Kingston just ran away with it and got 59% of the vote.
Boom.
Yeah. That's fair.
Nice.
Yeah. We'll take that.
Yeah. Right. So next up, we've got most shocking moments of the year. So the nominations
before we get into our nominations, I think there's two honorable mentions we have to include here, which came quite late in the year. One was obviously Bray Wyatt getting released.
Yeah.
Which actually happened while I was at an indie show, and like it spread around the crowd like wildfire. Like people were checking their phones, just murmurs in the middle of the show, which was crazy. And also, and quite sadly, Ring of Honor was shutting down late on in the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So the ones we've got, the entire ending of All Out, Malachi Black's AEW debut, Jeff Hardy's release, and Big E cashing in to become WWE champion. So, Aaron, you had Jeff Hardy's release. You want to quickly go through it?
Yeah, I think just personally, I thought that he would have retired with WWE and just been there until the end, and then obviously was it last month? This literally the start of this month he gets released for saying no to rehab or whatever. I say or whatever it was that.
Yeah.
It's such a weird one because it's currently so he said she said, isn't it? Like Matt's insisting that like the drug tests are going to come back clean, and like there's nothing wrong there, and like WWE are insisting that he had to go to rehab because he was off his face and something, and it's just like we still don't know what really happened. And
there's mad is like 2 weeks before he was released. 2 weeks before he was released, he was on the Stone Cold Steve Austin Broken Skull sessions, talking about how much he'd had like this kind of career reinvigoration and. Saying, whilst it's difficult to stay away from stuff, like I'm in the best place ever, I'm in the best shape and stuff like that. So that really came out of left field.
Obviously, the video came out from the night before of his release as well, at the live show.
Yeah, from the show that he was at where they thought he was under the influence.
No, Jeff Hardy, please state what's actually happened.
Don't just be well.
Just be well.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have a last run with Matt as a tag team, do that, enjoy it, and then enjoy retirement. Enjoy your life. Just be safe, be well, have a nice life. That's all we want.
Yeah.
Big Tasty, you had the entire ending of All Out.
Yeah, it felt like a bit of a cheat, this one, but I think that it was more a case of I don't think you could really pick like either of the individual things that happened. So obviously Kenny beats Christian in what was actually a really good main event, even though it looked a bit underwhelming on paper. The end they turned into a really decent match, and then we all thought something was going to happen because but we'd already had CM Punk previously. We knew there was rumors about Bryan Danielson that he had signed, and then we get the 1-2 punch of Adam Cole followed by Bryan Danielson both debuting, which I think we probably could have predicted that both of them would have turned up in AEW, but I don't think anybody had them both showing up at the same time.
No, within the space of like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was
they had Adam Cole turn heel the second he came out as well.
Yeah, it was just like, oh no, they're not gonna throw all the logs on the fire. Like they're gonna keep something in reserve. And like, no, Tony just went balls out and just went, have everything. There you go.
Slapped his dick on the table.
Yeah, it was in the moment. It was just that cascading, like, oh shit, like those two big moments, one after the other. And now they're both heels, so happy days.
Troy, you had Big E cashing in to become WWE champion.
I did, and I know it's a weird one to put in most shocking because he literally announced it on Twitter, like I'm going to cash in, but you don't know whether that's kind of a bluff, a double bluff, whatever sort of thing. And the fact he did was really cool because for me, I wouldn't expect to see that happen on an episode of Raw, like. And everyone was behind Big E for that singles push for him to eventually get, the opportunity to be champion sort of thing. I expected it on a bigger stage. What made it shocking for me is, whilst yes, it was semi-announced that he'd at least cash in, it wasn't a certainty that he'd win, but it was more shocking the fact that it was kind of on Raw and the manner in which it happened. And it was just nice to see that come full circle. Like, yes, it was disappointing to see them break up the New Day, but everyone really wanted that Big E singles run. He had a really, really good run with the IC title. We had that really good, I think it's a street fight or Falls Count Anywhere with Sheamus at the back end of last year with the IC title. That kind of propelled him forward. Really good singles matches, went in, Money in the Bank winner, and then cashing in. So I thought that was not necessarily a shocking moment, but just like a really, really good moment, a really good kind of culmination of his singles run thus far. So yeah, that was what was my pick.
You could argue it's a shock that WWE actually pulled the trigger on him winning.
Yeah,
there's that. Yeah,
Because as soon as he won the briefcase, you just had the fear that he was going to have an unsuccessful cash-in. Because you looked at who the champions were, and you're like, oh, are they really going to put him over either of them?
Yeah. Being that they've both been booked so strongly as well. Like Lashley was booked very strongly as champion.
Yeah. I think for me, him actually winning Money in the Bank was a little bit more shocking just because it did seem like it come out of the left field a bit, because it felt like every time like he gets close to that kind of like opportunity, it always feels like it kind of gets pulled away. So when he actually won it, I was a bit more. Whereas when they announced it, I thought they're probably going to do it because the ratings were like, because the ratings at the time, I was like, they're probably going to do that just to kind of pop a rating.
Money in the Bank is a match in a format that's designed to deliver big moments, and I think it undoubtedly did deliver a big moment this time around.
Yeah, 100%.
I remember my jaw hitting the floor. I think, was it me and you that watched it live, Jay? And just fucking losing my shit when that happened. I'm changing it. It's Biggie wins Money in the Bank, not cashes in. But then this as a result.
Well, we can have the whole thing. Looks Biggie's whole Money in the Bank win, 2 title reign. Really, you could just call it all wrapping it all in one.
Yeah. And finally, I had Malachi Black's AEW debut. Main reason being, obviously, we got like all those releases, the first ones that we got, which was it the same? It was a year to the day, wasn't it? Of
Black Wednesday, was it?
All last year. And obviously, normally main roster guys have a 90-day release clause. Malachi Black didn't.
Nope.
He just shown up 30 days after getting released and kicked Cody Rhodes so hard in the head that he still thought he was fucking Stardust. So yeah, I remember as well just watching it, and like it's one of the few times this year I've absolutely just lost it with like being shocked because, as I say, because no one expected it. Everyone thought it was like 2 months away that we were going to get like this kind of debut.
And they did it so well as well. Like in the show, like they had the lights go out early on for a couple of seconds. And
they were blaming it on like weather and stuff.
And then Excalibur was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry. There's a thunderstorm in the local area. We're having some power issues. Hopefully it won't happen again." And then it happened again, and again, still nothing happened. And then it happens the third time, and then he turns up. So like they bait and they tease you a little bit, and they don't just go lights off, lights on. He's there. It's like they condition you to expect really nothing, and then all of a sudden, at the end of the night, bang, there he is, just stood in the ring, looking like fucking Satan, and just starts murdering people. And it's like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, he kicked on as well.
Yeah, kicked on in the face.
Yeah, now he's probably one of my favorites in AEW at the moment. If not all of the wrestling. But yes, so that was everything we got. So in fourth place we had Big E's Cash-In. That got 7% of the vote on Twitter and nothing on Facebook. In joint second, we had Jeff Hardy's release and Malachi Black's debut.
Joint second, what? It was the same on Facebook and Twitter?
So on Twitter, Jeff Hardy got more of the percentage, but on Facebook, Malachi Black's did. And then they were both like vice versa on like either platform. So by doing a kind of like, just like figuring out the average, they both were the same. So it was all right, fair enough. And the All Out End ran away with it again. 66% of the vote on Twitter, 57% on Facebook.
Boom.
So yeah, and I think to be fair, there was quite a lot where it would have took a lot of beating.
Yeah.
Even like Punk, they telegraphed it so much. Danielson, they telegraphed it a bit, but Adam Cole was the one where it was like, oh, fuck, all right.
Adam Cole was what put All Out over the top, I think. Because we all knew Brian. We all expected Brian, but then they swerved us with Punk and then gave us Brian anyway. And it was like, oh, shit, this is perfect.
It was the fact as well that like they kind of like did the triple hit, really, because they had Cole come out and everyone thought it was to confront Omega. And then he turned heel and joined up with Omega. And then while they were all like, oh yeah, we're untouchable, Bryan Danielson comes out. It was like, oh shit. Big Tasty was there watching it with me. He'll attest, I was like that fucking kid that gets an N64 at Christmas when that happened. I was absolutely losing my shit.
Can confirm. Right, Aaron, do you want to take us through the next category?
Yeah, next up we've got Best Feud. Yeah,
that's the one.
Boy.
Yeah. Now we will go for what was mine? WWE versus all their.
Do you want to read out the nominations first?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right, darling.
Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page. Miro versus God. WWE versus all their non-main event talent. And Walter versus Ilia Draganov. I tried to keep it a straight face there. I'll go first. I don't really have to say much. WWE versus all their non-main event talent. If you're not Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or Becky Lynch or Randy Orton or any of them lot, you're in trouble.
You are not safe. You are in danger.
Look at the 79 people that have been released this year and tell me different.
Yeah.
Even the fact that you've got like genuine merch movers like Jeff Hardy and Bray Wyatt, and obviously Jeff was like down to something completely different to everybody else.
Braun Strowman.
Nia Jax.
Yeah.
If you're not in that upper echelon of talent, then sorry,
fucked.
You're always at risk. We'll go Kenny Omega on Hangman Page.
I mean, what can you say about Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page? Like, literally 18 months of build, a feud for a year and a half. Technically 3. It's a feud that lasts as long as the company's been around, in some capacity. From even from last year, from their the end of their tag match against the Young Bucks, when they both looked like they were going to hit a move on each other, and they didn't, and then they fell out, and then Kenny turned heel. And then it was from the start of this year all the way through. It was just a perfect slow build of Hangman all the way up to make him a credible challenger. Like when, like the most horrific gut punch wrestling has dealt me all the year was when they lost that Survivor Series match.
Yeah,
the 10-man tag match, and it felt horrible. And like, yeah, they broke that Hangman down like again and again to just constantly rebuild him and rebuild him and rebuild him until he got to this point where he came back and he cut that. It was my second choice for promo of the year, was the cowboy shit promo, which was just, that was him that was him announcing that he was ready. He'd hit like max level, and he was ready to go and do the final bossing.
His body was ready.
Yeah, it was like a 1 year plus build, but it ran for the entirety of 2021, and it culminated in like the most perfect way with Hangman beating Kenny in the main event of Full Gear and becoming AEW champion. And it's something we very rarely see in pro wrestling these days, is a story given time to breathe and not get rushed and not get changed, and just and then they had to work around his like actual parenthood as well. Like, he took months off at his hottest point to become a parent and go home and be with his wife, and then he came back and he picked up where he left off.
Still over like Rover.
Yeah, when he came out, he took like 2 months off and then came back like in that Battle Royal as Joker, and the roof flew off the building, and like she got cheered over John Moxley.
Yeah.
So enough said.
Yeah. That takes a lot.
Yeah.
That's cowboy shit.
That's cowboy shit. We'll go Miro versus God next.
I mean, you've just got to look at his promos from the last like 3 weeks and like know why this is so fucking good. It all kind of started about September, wasn't it, when he lost the TNT title to Sammy?
Yeah.
And he started cutting these promos saying like, I was God's kind of like forsaking him and giving him a weak neck, and because of that he can't go home to his flexible wife, and he's like got his like wedding ring on a chain around his neck, and now it's like the pro vignettes they've been doing the last couple of weeks, it's been like just like a completely white room, like he's in purgatory, and he's like said he's coming for God. It's been incredible, like every promo he's cut, like from when he was like almost like a religious zealot, when he was saying he was doing it for God, to saying how his God's failed him and he's given him like a neckwear made out of sand. It's just been like so different from anything I've seen in wrestling before.
I was gonna say it's so crazy. Like if Kenny and Hangman is like the Godfather, then Miro v God is like Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
It's totally different, but still completely captivating.
Compelling and captivating.
Yeah. I think like as well, as I say, just the fact that every time like he's kind of come back, like he came back for the tournament because he took John Moxley's place, and he was just like, again, he was like, right, this is my path to redemption, and then he lost in the finals. And I think I don't know how Miro's going to get a redemption. That's the part I'm interested in, whether they've got kind of like an end game for it or not. But I think.
I think he'll challenge Hangman this year. For the
I
title.
think he's going to be Hangman's next challenger after Danielson.
Yeah.
I think I could even wager seeing him possibly win it off Hangman because of the way the promos have been. But it's been such good promo work, especially considering when he was in WWE, because he was obviously a foreign guy. WWE
didn't trust him on the microphone.
Yeah, they tend to want to sort of water them down on the mic because they're not English isn't their first language, and he's gone on to prove that he's such a good talker. And yeah, I think that's why for me, Miro versus God, just because it was so different from anything I've seen.
Good shout. Finally, my choice was Walter versus Ilia Draganov. Thankfully, I knocked it at the time when I was just like, why are you putting their match on a takeover? But a lot of you said, and obviously agreed in the end, that it put more eyes on it where it probably wouldn't normally get it on NXT UK television. But it's just been fucking phenomenal, really, really good. And again, this is one of those ones where it's actually dragged out a bit longer than a year, but it's really kind of come full circle this year. Seeing the transition of kind of Draganov go from just wrestling Walter, but not having that kind of edge that he needed to beat him, to really taking that beating off Walter in that uber violent match, and then him just going on the kind of rampage, getting more and more pissed off, him losing and snapping and stuff like that, to finally getting to a point where he knows he can beat Walter. And their match at TakeOver was absolutely banging. But yeah, I just think it's been really, really good. And they kept them away from each other for quite a while, but every time they did interact, or every time there was some sort of promo, some sort of vignette that kind of teased that next match, was just always just so good, so good. Yeah, that was my choice.
So tied for third is Miro versus God and Walter versus Ilia Dragunov.
What?
Second is WWE versus all their non-main event talent. Yes, the second greatest rivalry of the year. Let's go. And obviously, I think this is going to be a land sweep no matter what the other three were. So Kenny Omega and Hangman Page is number one.
Come on, boys, pick it up.
Yeah. It's not surprising, is it?
No, exactly.
Even as someone that doesn't really watch AEW as much as you guys, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It just shows what happens when you carefully and patiently book an excellent long-term storyline.
Yeah. I was going to say there's quite a lot of parallels with the Hangman Omega one and Walter and Ilia.
Yeah.
Obviously, the face loses, he goes on a redemption story, and then gets back. They just did it.
But do you know what? Do you know what Omega and Hangman didn't have? Fucking Sam Gradwell.
top babyface Sam Gradwell.
top yogurt.
Yeah, this was all really close. I think I've actually as well. I will say there's a typo there. Sorry, Aaron. Miro vs God was fourth, not third. I wrote it down.
Okay.
I put 2 3s there. I put 2 3s on my notes here as well. So it's just me being soft. So yeah, Miro versus God got 14% on Facebook and 9% on Twitter. Walter Ilia got 15% on Facebook, not on Twitter. WWE versus Midcard Contractors got 16 on Twitter, 14 on Facebook, and Hangman and Kenny got 60 on Twitter, 72 on Facebook.
Fucking hell.
Before we move on, Troy, do you want to talk about a notable absence from this list that someone was very adamant that we should have included on
Yeah, and it was on, I think I might have had it, I can't remember. I think it might have been one of my shortlists. But yeah, the omission from this was Edge versus Rollins. Yeah. And
I mean, I stuck up for the podcast on Twitter about it. Come on.
To be fair, yes, WWE versus all their non-main event talent is an amusing one, but if I was going to put a serious one in there, it would absolutely be Rollins and Edge. It was really
from main roster. I think it's the biggest one to go for.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
Drew and Bobby was all right. Drew and Sheamus was okay.
The fact you're having to say all right and okay.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. To be fair, I almost went for John Moxley versus Japan as well, just because.
Forbidden doors.
Yeah, just because it's been great.
John Moxley becoming the Babadook.
Moving on, we will go to the next award, which is Worst Show or Worst Event of the Year. The nominations were WWE Extreme Rules, WWE WrestleMania Backlash, NWA Hard Times 2, because fuck Austin Aries, and that's not what it was actually called, and WWE Survivor Series.
I was going to say, these shows up there, I was just getting out of control. I thought GCW had gone too far, but apparently not.
Ben, we'll come to you. NWA Hard Times 2. Why was this in there?
That was me.
That was Jay.
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry, my bad. Jay, why was it in there?
Because fuck Austin Aries.
Cool. Survivor Series.
Don't need to say more about that, do I?
Fair.
You've got a card featuring Tyrus and Austin Aries on a show booked by Billy Corgan. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of questionable people there.
There was quite a few like decent matches on there, to be fair, but it was overshadowed by the fact that they brought in so many like questionable talent, and also the main event was Trevor Murdoch versus Mike Knox.
Hey.
Exactly.
And if you have a wrestling match in a sewer, no matter how good the match is, you come out smelling like sewer.
Yeah. That's it.
Fair. Tasty, your pick was Survivor Series, was it not?
Yeah, I mean, this was really hard for me because I only really watched AEW pay-per-views this year, and they were all quite good. So I had to go into one that I sort of felt the air around was a bit negative. So this was Survivor Series. This was the 25th anniversary of The Rock's WWE debut, featuring The Rock's 25-man battle royal, sponsored by The Rock's new movie, not featuring The Rock.
It did have an egg, though.
Did feature an egg?
Did feature egg, yeah.
Did have egg.
Did have egg.
Donde Star egg.
The
Like,
Rock's
that was the
egg
cameo
is
we didn't know we
technically
needed.
an egg.
It was like a little Santa box, like Rock sold separately. Rock not included. It was like, just baffled me. Like, how do you cock tease your audience so much and dangle the carrot of The Rock in front of them and then not give this? Like people said, this is what would have happened if CM Punk hadn't have been at that show in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
fair enough.
Apparently the matches were just baffling. This is one with Kevin Owens just bounced off in the middle of the Survivor Series match, wasn't it, and just disappeared.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's because he was teaming with Seth, though. That was.
Yeah, but I thought Survivor Series was meant to be all about like the brand and like.
No what? Aye, but Seth Rollins was literally on his knees last year.
They had exactly the same thing last year.
Yeah.
And Seth just walked out, didn't he?
Seth just took Cobb. I can't remember.
But they both fucking hugged each other at the end of Raw last week.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Great.
Just congratulating Kev on his new contract.
Yeah. You're not going to the rival company.
For
That's probably what he was going backstage for. He was emergency negotiations. He was like, right, this is what I want.
Contract negotiations going wrong.
Aaron, WrestleMania Backlash.
Again, I got a lot of stick on Twitter for it, but that's fine. Does anyone remember this card? Anyone actually remember anything from this card?
I don't remember this year, but I do remember WrestleMania Backlash historically just means all the WrestleMania matches again.
Well, you mentioned that.
I do remember about half the cards.
Yeah, so you had your two triple threat matches, the Raw Women's title with Ripley, Asuka, and Charlotte, the opening match. That was pretty good. I'll give it its due. You had the other triple threat, Lashley, Strowman, and Drew. Strowman was never winning it, but Drew had
matchup.
It was a very good match. Mysterios and Ziggler and Roode don't need 17 minutes. It was very dragged out. Sorry, but I'm going to say Roman Reigns Cesaro wasn't for me. It was too long and drawn out. Bianca and Bailey, nah, I'd rather not see that again. It was a bit naff. It was naff the first time. And Zombies, Damian Priest versus The Miz. Zombie.
Yeah, okay.
I'll be honest, that was the worst part about it. But
that was like the worst in-ring segment of WWE this year, to be fair. So yeah.
As I said on Discord before, though, like the thing with WWE is that a lot of the pay-per-views have all got at least one really good match, but they're overshadowed by the shite around it. That's kind of like what hurts it.
Hmm.
So like there was like 3 or 4 matches on there that like at least like 2 or 3 of us like really liked, but because of the zombie thing, that's all we fucking remember.
Yeah. There was 3 matches there that were far too long as well. Like looking at the card right now, and they're 2 triple threat matches. Fair play. The main event was just dragged out for me. I remember being bored watching it with you guys, just sitting there like vodka, yay,
Blue drink.
Are you the blue drink? It's me, Aaron.
My choice was Extreme Rules. No Extreme Rules matches, and Finn Balor lost by divine intervention.
He didn't lose on either time.
Well, that's true.
That's all I need to say about it. It was just crap.
There was no gimmick matches whatsoever.
No, there was a couple of multi-man tag matches.
Well, there was a Turnbuckle Falls Apart match in the main event.
Don't worry about it. They had it on SmackDown before and the Raw after. They had a cage match. I think they had the Last Man Standing match on one as well, and an Extreme Rules match.
Yep.
But they couldn't do it on the actual pay-per-view.
Didn't they actually move a match off the card and onto Raw?
Yeah. I don't remember what it was.
It was an Extreme Rules match, though, wasn't it? It was like, we're going to do the Extreme Rules match, or one of the, like a gimmick match. Yeah. We're going to do it on Raw instead of on the card.
It was like what they did with Hell in a Cell, where they had like a Hell in a Cell match on Raw the day after.
Yeah. It's like, let's just do another Hell in a Cell.
But like, was it Lashley against Woods, Hell in a Cell?
Yeah, and they did the Roman and Ray Hell in a Cell as the main event on SmackDown before.
Yeah. But yeah, this was just fucking nonsense. Just why bother calling it Extreme Rules when it's just essentially an episode of fucking Raw?
I mean, WWE just book with like all the self-control and discipline of me around a big box of celebrations. I say I'm going to save some Maltesers, but like 10 minutes in, they're all fucking gone. I've given it all away.
Oh man. On to the results for that. So in 4th place, NWA Hard Times 2. In 3rd place, WrestleMania Backlash. In 2nd place, Survivor Series. And in 1st place, Extreme Rules.
Oh, that's a worthy winner. I mean, I think NWA is only so low down because I don't think anyone knew what the fuck it was.
Well, this was the closest out of all of the categories.
Okay.
But I think NWA Hard Times got more votes here than people who actually attended the event.
And NWA Hard Times got 25% of the vote on Twitter and was actually in 2nd place on Twitter. However, it got no votes on Facebook.
Okay.
Because no one watched it.
You should have tagged Austin Aries in it and we would have got like major heat of it.
Don't worry about it. But Backlash and Survivor Series on Facebook both got 25%. However, Backlash got 20% on Twitter and Survivor Series got 22%. And then Extreme Rules got 33% on Twitter, 50% of the vote on Facebook.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Right. So,
I mean, again, you can't have an Extreme Rules pay-per-view with no extreme matches. That's just not cricket. And it's so fucking easy. Like they piss giving matches. They piss giving matches all over the place everywhere else, and then the one time they're meant to do it, they go, "No, we're right."
Yeah.
Apparently, looking at Wikipedia, the Roman Reigns and Balor one was the Extreme Rules match.
Was it fuck?
Apparently so.
The only thing extreme about it was the fucking finish.
Did anyone tell Roman Reigns and Finn Balor it was the Extreme Rules?
They did that bit where they fought through the crowd and Roman put a mask on.
Top lad.
Oh yeah.
Top lad.
Yeah.
They tried to buy ECW. Fuck me.
Oh. What category have we got next? Who's taking
right? Next up, then we've got from worst show / event. We'll go to best show / event, and our nominees for this one are AEW All Out, Wrestle Kingdom, FMW-E Independence Day, and WWE WrestleMania 37. Is it still called WrestleMania? Do they still do numbers, or is it just WrestleMania now?
It's just WrestleMania.
Just WrestleMania.
Just an ongoing, never-ending WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But this year's slice of that infinite cake, that infinite Viennetta that is WrestleMania. So I don't like to make assumptions here, but FMW Independence Day. Aaron, talk us through this bullshit.
Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling is Sushi Anita's company. Me and a couple of boys for the Discord decided to stay up and watch it, and oh boy, it was a thrill. Lots of alcohol and Pro Plus later. Yep.
Is that because you needed it to get through it?
It was that night. There was a 45-minute delay in the broadcast. It's okay. It was still a good show.
Was that for get-related reasons?
That was.
Is that so they could clear the fruit and veg off the fucking ring apron?
Yep. So this was that
because the Japanese police thought it was a terror attack?
This was a deathmatch show in a fruit and veg market under a bridge. That's
That's not even underselling it either.
There was a fans vote which weapons get used in the match. We actually had to sit on our phones.
Fuck me, it's like Taboo Tuesday all over again.
We did not have a clue what we were doing it. But
how is your Japanese? Did you understand it? Did you know what you were voting for?
A referee got to get shoved up his bum. Literally, not figuratively.
Literally, not figuratively.
Not a metaphorical baguette, a real piece of bread.
A real piece of bread.
He got it from the bread market next door, did he?
Who's the guy that bakes bread in Japan?
Satoshi Kojima.
Yeah.
Did he donate a baguette?
Nah, you wouldn't have gone near this. He's too wholesome.
And in the main event, it was a 6-man tag, but you missed half of it because one of the explosions were that ridiculous that it was far too smoky under the bridge. You couldn't see anything.
It's like someone had just left their exhaust running.
Oh, it was just so good.
Was it?
It's like my favorite memory.
The whole ring is one of that room they go to in Stars in their eyes before they come back out again.
Tonight, Matthew, I'm going to be a referee of a baguette up his ass.
It's just, I don't even know if you can go see it anymore. I think they've just cut it off after a week.
I think they just the guy who filmed it, they burnt the camera and then shot him.
Well, I had so much fun. It cost £6 to watch the pay-per-view, right?
It's the best £6 you've ever spent.
I spent £20 that night.
Oh, wasn't that voting for weapons?
Oh my
Voting
god!
for weapons, getting little emoji things, and
oh my god!
I love the fact that you're talking about that. To anyone else, it sounds absolutely naff. We have done worse show already. Just to remind you, this is in the best show category.
I think Aaron, you played yourself.
We'll see.
Right, moving on. We've got Wrestle Kingdom. I believe that was you, Jay.
Yeah. I mean, what more can you say? New Japan at the start of every year just fucking throw all the matches of the year at us so we can go, all right, sound. This is the benchmark.
Let's just get out the way. Let's just do it all now.
Yeah. I mean, just some of the matches on there that Meltzer rated 5 or above. We got a Okada Ospreay where he won with just one.
Just one of them.
We got Shingo versus Jeff Cobb, which was an absolute fucking hoss fest.
Fucking right, it was.
Baby.
We got Naito versus Kota Ibushi, which is banging. We got and they surprisingly tried to kill each other like they usually do. We got Ibushi and Jay White going for close to an hour.
Yeah,
I think it was the longest match in Wrestle Kingdom history. And it was fucking insane. Like there were so many times where you thought, all right, that's it.
Didn't Kenny and Okada go to a time limit draw?
That wasn't at Wrestle
That
Kingdom,
was at Dominion, not.
Oh, was it? Oh, fair enough.
They only beat it like that by like about 2 or 3 minutes.
Fair.
And obviously we had Zack Sabre Jr. and was it Sonada as well, which was banging.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was something for everybody on this card. It was genuinely like a really good like variety show. We got we also got the Battle Royal for the what they called King of Pro Wrestling, where we didn't have a clue what was going on. It was just entertaining nonsense. And it should be another good show next year. Well, next week.
Well, and we'll be doing a recording for it, a live stream for it, not a recording.
Don't know who could have put WrestleMania 37. I'm guessing it might be Troy. Do you want to run us through that?
I just fucking love Mania 37. It was the first event back in front of fans. Everything from the rain delay, where it then suddenly felt like we've been transported back to the 90s, and we had all these like off the cuff, like impromptu promos from people, which I thought was really, really cool.
Samoa Joe under an umbrella, which was a good
Samoa Joe under umbrella. That's what I live for.
As well.
Hulk Hogan getting booed out the stadium. It was funny.
Yeah, all of that. But yeah, it was the first one back in front of fans. Like it was fucking awesome to just see it back in front of fans. Like Mania is always my favorite pay-per-view. The 2-night format, like I really enjoy. Both nights were opened and closed with like two fucking awesome matches. You had Bobby and Drew opening the first night, which was a really decent match. You had it close out with Sasha Banks and Bianca Bella, which like that moment alone was incredible. The ovation, the emotion.
That was the first moment of 2021 in wrestling that really moved me.
Yeah. So
when they both like stood there and took it in, and it was great in the opening match to watch Aaron Soul die in front of our eyes.
Not to forget, like everyone was knocking it beforehand, but you had Braun Strowman and Shane in the cage, like Shane taking that ridiculous bump. You had Bad Bunny's debut hitting the fucking Puerto Rican destroyer on the outside of Morrison, fucking awesome. And then like night 2 topped off with the triple threat, Reigns, Bryan, and Edge. It was just a really, really good event. Really, really enjoyed it. Like, yes, there were a couple of duds on there, but the good stuff certainly outweighed the bad for me on that pay-per-view. And as I say, like for me, like the two big standout moments from that were the women's headlining match on night 1 and just it being back in front of fans and it just feeling after everything that we'd had from, the last, this time of recording, kind of like nearly 2 years, but at the time, just over a year. It was just nice to feel like things was starting to get back to some sort of normality. So yeah, that was why I picked it.
Sound, yeah. And to the surprise of probably everybody here, I picked All Out 2021.
Did you?
Yeah, funny that, isn't it? I mean, the card was insane. When the weakest match on the card is probably Jon Moxley versus Satoshi Kojima.
Whoa. We got Paul White versus QT Marshall.
That doesn't go. That was the piss break. And I know Aaron said, so you've got like Miro, it opened with Miro and Eddie Kingston just beating the piss out of each other and closed with like what we've already talked about, the shocking moment of the year.
Here we go. Aaron said, here we go.
Everything was, I'm agreeing with you. So Aaron, you said on the worst show, your one of your things for calling Backlash was that some of the matches went too long. Not a single match on this card went over 22 minutes. And it was perfect. The cadence of it, like the pacing of it, the timing of it, it literally, we were all watching this in Jay's and got to like the start of the third hour and we were like, oh fuck, it's like 3 a.m. We thought it was like the first hour still. And it's like, oh Jesus, have we really only got like 2 matches left? What's going on? I mean, this was like, it was CM Punk debut, AEW debut. It was a match we'll talk about in a little bit, Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks in a cage. It was and even like understated bangers like Britt Baker beating Chris Statlander, Chris Jericho MJF was really good. Kenny Omega versus Christian was better than it had any right to be. The Battle Royal, Ruby Soho debuted.
Yeah, man.
And Suzuki coming out at the end of Moxley's match with Kojima.
Suzuki came out, yeah. Remember Suzuki
coming
a
meme.
Out? Yeah. When Jay was having a piss as well, that was hilarious.
Went for a piss and I just heard the start of Kaze Nina Ray. I was like, ah!
Piss everywhere. Quick!
Just ran down, just put him back in his kecks. Yeah, it was, I mean, we had another wholesome moment of the year, which was Ruby winning the Battle Royal and then hugging Bryce Remsburg, which was just beautiful. It was, people are saying it was the best wrestling show since WrestleMania 17, and I'm finding it hard to disagree.
Yeah, same. I'm with you on that.
Right, so straight on to the results then, and to no surprise, well, to some surprise. So,
I'm Japan by this.
New Japan have had a very up and down time during the pandemic. It's really exposed, I think, that the fact that a lot of their roster was sort of built on sand a little bit. I know they've got that new awful belt, which is apparently cursed. And it just shows how much they've fallen out of the public consciousness that they came fourth. Wrestle Kingdom came fourth.
Yeah, that's disappointing. That is disappointing. They had a fucking torrid time over the pandemic, though, didn't they?
Feeling Aaron got some Russian bots on this one.
I definitely think he did.
Aid for some votes.
I mean, Joe and Ryan.
You know how he's saying
So
he spent
what
£20 on that pay-per-view?
Yeah,
He said
It's
he
all
spent
worth
six on it. The other 14 was paying for people to vote for it.
What you don't know is we're actually surprisingly big in the Japanese deathmatch community as a podcast. That's our second biggest market after the UK. So next up, then in third place, we had FMWE Independence Day.
There you go, boys. It's confirmed. FMWE is better than Wrestle Kingdom this year. There we go.
Better than Tokyo Dome.
Wow.
Veg market better than Tokyo Dome.
And Dave Meltzer doesn't even watch it. Hey.
Of course he fucking doesn't.
Meltzer watches everything, mate. He's like a fucking hawk.
He's like Morgan Freeman at the end of The Dark Knight, where he's got like a million TVs, so you can see everything.
Oh, wow.
Then we had WrestleMania in second, WrestleMania 37, which means the winner, I think by quite a margin as well, was All Out.
This was the biggest landslide in the entire thing, to the surprise of nobody. So Wrestle Kingdom got 2% of the votes on Twitter, 0% on Facebook.
That's like one vote.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's probably you, Jay.
I didn't actually vote Wrestle Kingdom. I voted All Out. Just to pull a curtain back, All Out was my other one. Me and Big Tasty were kind of deliberating who was going to get to pick All Out.
It was a gentleman's agreement.
Yeah. I was like, you have it. Wrestle Kingdom was a banging show. I'm happy to put that forward. FMWE got 4% on Twitter and 17% on Facebook.
Let's go.
Out of 6 votes, there was only one person who voted for it on Facebook, and it was Ryan.
I don't care.
I was the only other one stupid enough to sit up and watch it. Well, actually, it was you and Joe, wasn't it, Aaron?
Me, Joe, and Ryan that watched it. Yeah.
WrestleMania got 9% of the vote on Twitter, 0 on Facebook.
Wow. So you're saying All Out was the only show that got double figures percentage-wise?
All Out got 85% of the vote on Twitter, 83% of the vote on Facebook.
Fucking hell.
Wrestle Kingdom's in the bin, boys. We're not doing a live stream this year.
I think that
So FMWE have a show that day. Can we do that instead?
That certainly lends credence to the fact that All Out could well have been one of the best, certainly the best pay-per-view of the AW era.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, if WrestleMania 17 had happened 2 years earlier, we'd probably be talking about All Out being the best pay-per-view of like this century.
Yeah.
Like there is that. It was a phenomenal show. Absolutely, indeed. Righty, let's get into the next one, which is the one where I had to use actual Steiner mats to figure it out. most underrated / underutilized, because a lot of people were saying we should call it that on Twitter instead. So we've got Mustafa Ali.
Mustangs Alley.
Mustangs Alley.
Fucking hell, Aaron.
Even Autocorrect doesn't want to say his name.
Even Google is burying him. Like that's how bad it is.
Oh, dear.
Dolph Ziggler, absolute Ricky Starks, and proud and powerful Santana and Ortiz. Aaron, do you want to go into why you picked Dolph?
He was last year's most underrated /
he's
underutilized, so he was defending it. All right.
Fair enough.
Basically, and he still is underutilized and underrated. As much as you guys give me slack, not slack. Let's not talk about him. Let's not talk about him. Oh boy, that's
not talking about
controversial.
slack. Jesus
Oh boy.
I mean, I suppose, Schlack likes Nazi stuff and Dolph's a German name, so.
Wow.
Schlack, Dolph Ziggler, completely the same person. Yeah.
Both the same. Troy, do you want to tell us about Mustafa Ali?
Mustangs Alley.
Mustangs Alley.
Mustang Alley.
For anyone that doesn't know that's listening, if you go on our Twitter on the poll for this one, it says Mustangs Alley as his name.
You dafty.
Because this is what happens when you let Aaron do the polls and he's going to come down.
Been sat in his house, huffing paint all afternoon.
Sat in a K-hole, you mean?
I was actually in work when I was doing it. I love you know.
Oh, mate, you should be going to work when you're on the influence, mate.
Fuck
you work with tools and stuff. It's not safe.
It's fine. No one was there. It's fine.
It's fine. No one was there. I hurt myself. No one would notice.
Fun fact: he was actually tweeting with a glue gun up one nostril.
Health and safety, mate. Someone should always know where you are and what you're doing in an environment like that.
Putting the glue at one nostril, covering the other, so it blows bubbles. That's what I do.
So yeah, I chose Mustafa Ali. He's been underrated for ages, but it's a shame. Like you see, off the back of everything with Retribution, he really deserved better going into that, but also coming out of this, because they treated everyone else like crap out the back of that. And really, he was the only one, in my eyes, that they could have really done something with. And it felt like they did briefly, like a few months about where they had him like dressed up in the suit sort of thing. And he's so good in ring. He's so good in promos. And just, I don't get it. I don't get why they haven't pulled the trigger on him. I don't get, like, I mean, you could argue that everything Retribution was them kind of giving him the opportunity, but then it was just booked so poorly. Like, and he was doing everything he could in a bad situation. Like, he was still the standout amongst all of that crap. And it's always disappointing to see him just be criminally underutilized. So, yeah, that's why.
I'll tell you why it is, mate. Because he's been putting his own creative input on stuff. They don't like that.
Oh yeah.
Look at Zack Ryder. So
I mean, also they don't have a stellar record for promoting and pushing people with backgrounds similar to Mustafa Ali's, do they?
No, not at all.
Sure, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying someone high up in WWE is almost certainly racist, but
Nah.
Can't wait for when they rebrand them to Qatar.
Oh Christ!
Dubai was already taken. So I went for absolute Ricky Starks, to the surprise of nobody. I mean, obviously, I think as far as underutilized goes, I think that there is a reason for why he's not been used as much as he could have been this year, given that he got that neck injury quite early on.
He literally broke his neck, mate.
Yeah. And I feel like even though he has had a few matches, it does feel like he's kind of been getting eased back into like full-time ring work. Obviously, he's been commentating on a Rampage since like the third week, was it?
Yeah, I mean, they literally binned off Mark Henry so he could do commentary.
Yeah. Although I do quite like Mark Henry's like sort of like leading into the main event role. He does that really well.
Mm.
And it makes it feel different to any other wrestling shows, though, which is why I like it. It's like when they're hyping up the boxing main event. Anyway, not talking about Mark Henry, talking about Ricky Starks. Yeah, I mean, you've just got to look at some of the matches he's had as well. Like he had that match, like that mini feud with Darby Allin earlier in the year, tailing off from the end of last year. He had the obviously the cinematic match of him and Brian Cage versus Sting and Darby Allin, which I think was my favorite cinematic match this year.
Yeah,
it was really good, really, really cool. Like
just seeing Ricky Starks on a Lambo at the start was enough for me. Oof.
Yeah, that was. I was going to say even that video package that he did where it was like him in like his house and he was like getting dressed and then he just got into like this and was like driving through like New York or something. Just really cool. That
was another one of them like stealth babyface promos though, wasn't it? It was like,
yeah, that he'll end up being a babyface eventually. I think he needs to be heel for the time being though because he's just better, right? And yeah, then just as I say, down to the matches, even the match where he broke his neck against Hangman, it was banging. Like he carried on obviously, but like it was a banging match regardless. Like if I hadn't known about that, I would have still gone, oh yeah, that was a really good match. And the fact that he got two good matches out of the wrestling equivalent of room temperature walk to Brian Cage.
Tepid Brian.
Yeah, says a lot. At time recording, we're probably about to go into a Ricky Starks Dante Martin feud or Ricky Starks Leo Rush even. That'll be good.
Just give me all of that. Like
so,
all of that.
I think he probably wouldn't have been my pick if he hadn't have got hurt. I think that's kind of almost like a little bit of an out for why I picked him here. But yeah, I think next year he's going to have a really good year. Fine, now I'm on Big Tasty. You had Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah, proud and powerful. I'm a tag team boy. These are tag team boys. They're one of the best tag teams in the world. and they're not. They are not, and have never really been in the tag team title picture.
No.
Which is somewhat baffling because AEW is really good at sort of recognizing talent and recognizing talent is really over. And they're also really over with the fans as well whenever they pop up on live shows. Hopefully they're in a program with Eddie Kingston right now against 2.0 Daniel Garcia. Hopefully this leads. I still believe that Santana Ortiz will take the belts off of the Lucha Bros eventually. I think that they've sort of been tweeting a lot about wanting the tag titles, and they've been like winning a lot. Like they've been bubbling up like under the surface on Dark and Elevation, but a lot of them it's just because the only time you see them is because most of the times you've seen them this year they've been stuck in a fucking awful inner circle segment.
Yeah, literally Chris Jericho's friend, basically.
And Santana is like the best talker in the inner circle, and he doesn't get to do anything.
Yeah.
So more Santana and Ortiz, please, and less inner circle.
I agree. I think that they're probably going to finish next year as a tag team champions. Right, so now let's get down to the numbers. This was the one where, as I say, I had to use actual honest to goodness Steiner math on this bad boy because 1 and 2 was that close. 4th place Mustafa Ali, nil points over both formats.
That's absolute fucking shit.
But I think
it kind of proves the point that he is underrated, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So in many ways, he actually wins this category.
I mean, I blame Aaron for him not getting any votes on Twitter.
Fuck
He didn't even spell his name right. The fuck is Mustangs Alley?
I think
Sounds like one of the figures your nan comes back from the market with. Like, I know you like wrestling. I got you the Mustangs Alley one.
Yeah, I think if we had have like actually called this most underutilized, he would have definitely got more votes than most underrated, because I think he's widely regarded as being a very good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't get used as much. To be honest, as are all these guys.
To be fair, mate, he's the king of random 3-minute tag matches.
But when he's been given the opportunity to actually have like a longer match in WWE, he's killed it every time. Like,
oh yeah.
Next we had Zigglypuff, 17 on Twitter, 16 on Facebook.
I mean, I'm shocked he's in double figures, if I'm honest.
The king is dead. Long live the king.
Yeah. And then this is where the maths come in. So Proud and Powerful had 61% on Twitter, 33 on the Facebook. Ricky Starks had 22 on Twitter, 50 on Facebook. So the way I was working it out was basically like the kind of like average in between. So their average was both identical. Weirdly. As overall votes, it was obviously Proud and Powerful, but like that basically just fucked my system around a bit. But yeah, Proud and Powerful won it.
I just think at some point next year we're going to get an AEW pay-per-view match with the Lucha Bros versus Proud and Powerful, and like Maggie Rook is backstage just having a breakdown because he has to perform both entrances live.
That's Maggie Rook's noise.
What have you got next? Is it you, Aaron?
Most overrated. Let's go. Our 4 people for most overrated of the year. We've got Sami Callihan from Impact, Brian Cage from AEW, Becky Lynch from Monday Night Raw, and CM Punk from AEW. Oh, controversial.
What's controversial?
Well,
all of it.
Come on in, Troy. Why have you put CM Punk?
How many of you had him as your superstar of the year?
I've always said on AEW that his matches have been all right.
How many of you had him in your match of the year?
I didn't.
How many of you had him in best promo?
Oh yeah, me.
He's there. Promo. He is there.
So my point has always been, it's all right on the mic. It's good. It's impressive. It's a good talker. For me, he does nothing in the ring. And he came in a lot of pomp, a lot of circumstance. Understandably, I get that. But I still just don't understand, like, people clamour after him. But all I ever hear is, oh, he's really good at promos. That's it. Can't get by just being a promo guy. That's not to say he has bad matches, but it speaks volumes when none of you here have put him in your best match. None of you have put him in superstar, but 2 of you have chosen him in a promo thing. I just don't get it, and I've never got it. And I was going back before I put it in, I was like, I'll go back and watch some of his WWE. So I'll go back and watch his Money in the Bank match against Cena, which everyone raves about. I'll go back and watch all of his previous stuff since he's come to AEW. Yeah, he's putting over like some younger talent. That's great, but there's other guys there that do it like just as well, if not better, in my opinion. And yeah, for me, I think he's really overrated. I really do. And I know that ruffles a lot of feathers, but I don't care. And I've backed it up there, so just deal with it.
Fair,
yeah. How far can you go by just being good, if you can call it good on the mic? Becky Lynch.
What a segue.
Yeah, fucking where she goes, I fucking hate you, I fucking despise you, and the mic, oh, it grinds my gears. And basically all her moveset consists of is clumpy running, and basically she stomps when she runs and she stomps when she walks, and it does my tits in. And basically a wrestling consists of an exploder suplex and an armbar.
Armbar. Redunzel family, whatever it is.
I don't understand.
Imagine if you had to put that out in reply to someone on Twitter, and fuck me.
Oh God,
you're getting death threats, mate.
I absolutely despise Becky Lynch. I don't understand why everyone likes her, and I never have. Even when she was a baby face and the man, like, oh, cool, right? I don't care.
I'm gonna double down on what you're saying there, and say the only reason she got over when she did get over was because she hit Charlotte.
Yeah, true.
That's the only reason. Because I remember we watched it like going, "Go on, deck Charlotte," and then she did.
Even then, never bet against Charlotte. That's literally all I've got to say. That's all I need to say.
Go next, Tasty, or should you?
I'll go next. I mean, I sort of struggle with this one again because I couldn't think of anyone really. I watched an AW I thought was a bit overrated.
Covered there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you don't put it down, so that's fair. But then I thought like I don't watch a lot of Impact nowadays, but every time I do, I'm always like intrigued by the idea of Sami Callihan until I see Sami Callihan, and then I'm like, oh no, it's alright, really.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I nearly put Rich Swann for the same reason, in that like, but Rich Swann can go, so
yeah,
they're kind of two sides of the same coin. So like, Rich Swann's like really good in the ring, but like literally a non-entity as a personality, and Sami Callihan is like just all edge and like no, like in ring
product.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. He just does nothing for me. I didn't get on with Solomon Crow. I don't think he's really evolved his character. You know, I want to twat Eddie Edwards really hard with a kendo stick isn't a personality.
Fair.
It's a sentiment I can get behind though. Yeah, so I went for Brian Cage. What more can be said about Brian Cage other than what I said before? That
I mean, apparently he's got a cracking nub.
Well, yeah, the fact when you've got to get your wife to tweet about the size of your fucking penis on Twitter to like convince fans to be interested in you, there's a serious problem. He looks great. He got his body out of one of those like catalogs, I believe. The
Little
Dr. Sorian was passing around that time when WWE got the signature pharmacy thing. I think there's a reason why he hasn't shown up there, because he wouldn't pass a piss test. But more to the point, his wrestling ability. He can do some really good things, but every time he does, it always looks like sloppy and dangerous when he's doing it. He's got a...
I can't remember if it was this year or not, but I really enjoyed the match he had with Darby Allin, where he literally just yeeted Darby around the ring, and then...
That was last summer.
Yeah, that was really good fun. I mean, that's literally how much I've thought about Brian Cage this year, and I thought that was this year.
Yeah, but I feel like as well, like, I mean, he's not really got any charisma. He's a shit talker.
That's why he was in Team Taz.
Yeah, but
didn't Ricky Starks
thing.
bring that up in a promo? Is like they put
Yeah.
you in a fucking thing with me, and my charisma couldn't even rub off on you or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, you look at the guys from Team Taz. Hobbs is like, and he was someone who was really close for me to pick as like most improved. Powerhouse Hobbs. He's like, when he does cut a promo, he's awesome. He's got like swagger about him. He's got a really good look. Hook, I mean, fucking me. Hook doesn't say a word, and he's got like buckets of charisma just by the way he carries himself, and he looks like he's going to just be like as good as his dad. And then you got Brian Cage, who's just there like
charisma vacuum.
It's really telling, isn't it, that he was like the founding member of Team Taz and was very quickly surpassed by all of the other members.
Yeah,
in pretty much every capacity.
Yeah. The fact that he was literally brought in just to make a star out of Ricky Starks.
Yeah. He is, like you said before, he is the wrestling equivalent of vanilla ice cream, and not like the posh one with the little bits of like the vanilla pudding, like the cheap one from Tesco.
the one that
none of that
like
Waitrose M&S
milk with a bit of sugar in it.
Yeah.
He just does fuck all for me. He really does.
It sounds fairly unanimous. Should we go to the results?
Yeah, this was another. To be honest, on Twitter it was much closer. On Facebook it was a fucking landslide. So in third, it's Aaron, isn't it?
Yeah, and fourth place was Sami Callihan. I don't think anybody watches Impact, to be honest.
I just don't think people give a fuck about Sami Callihan, which is fair.
Yeah. Third is CM Punk, which when people are voting CM Punk for most overrated over Sami Callihan.
It's just because everyone's auntie knows who he is. That's all.
Yeah. In second place, fucking Irish potato leprechaun lassie, Becky Lynch.
You joke, they had her come out and do an Irish jig in NXT.
Yep.
Pretty much as a leprechaun when she first debuted.
She was literally river dancing leprechaun.
Yeah, her original gimmick was just river dance.
It was Michael Flatley's backing dancer.
And in first place, I think we all agree that he is a bit overrated. I say a bit, he is overrated. Brian Cage is number one.
Yeah, so this one was quite close at the top and quite close at the bottom. So Sami Callihan got 5% of the vote on Twitter, not on Facebook, because people don't know who he is. The only time people got excited for Sami Callihan this year was when he was meant to be tagging with John Moxley and then he broke his leg. Next, we had CM Punk. He got 14% on both platforms. Moving on, so Twitter, Becky Lynch got 46% of the vote. On Facebook, she got 0. And on Twitter, Brian Cage got a big old 55% of the vote. And on Facebook, he got 86% of the vote.
Wow.
More of a landslide than All Out. But the second biggest landslide on Facebook was that.
Damn.
That's...
We will move in. We're into the top 5 of our last awards. So next up is Best Promo. The nominations are CM Punk and MJF, CM Punk's return promo, Gargano saying goodbye to NXT, and Jay White Wrestle Kingdom 15 promo. CM Punk's return promo. Who was that?
That was me. I mean, this is probably the most anticipated promo in wrestling all year round. As soon as people got like a bit of an inkling that CM Punk might be back, they were like, what's he going to say? What's he going to do? And I think as far as like the whole like presentation of everything, it was just incredible, like down to the entrance, the anticipation from the crowd, the fact that he come out, he just kind of soaked it all in and he was just honest with everybody. And it wasn't like, it didn't feel like a wrestling promo. It felt like seeing a mate for like the first time in like a couple of years and just catching up with them. And then he went into the wrestling promo and was like, right, Darby Allin, we're having a fight. Everything, for me, everything like kind of like presentation wise, production wise of it was just perfect. Really well executed. And if you haven't seen it, go and watch it because it's genuinely one of the best crowd reactions I think I've ever seen.
Sweet.
I literally seen the video today of his entrance, of everyone chanting his name. It still gave me goosebumps. I still got a shiver. It's ridiculous.
I think it's also one of AEW's most viewed clips on YouTube.
It is.
Their
most viewed, yeah.
I'll go to my pick, and that was Jay White's Wrestle Kingdom 15 promo. This came off the back of his loss, and it was just a real swerve. There was a lot of talk about his contract expiring, a lot of talk about him going to NXT. Apparently, there were some talks there. And yeah, basically coming across like, he was done. That was it. He was on his way out. And just, I like how they do those post-match interview conference things in New Japan. It's really cool. They have them sat at the kind of press desk taking questions and stuff like that, and literally just come out from the match like, sweating there, his shirt off, and really beaten up and dwelling on things. It was just really good. It was really emotional. It was really raw. As I say, like clearly a massive swerve. He's still with them now. But yeah, it was really convincing. And I think he had a lot of people convinced that was it. So for me, yeah, it was a fucking awesome promo. Gargano saying goodbye to NXT.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some NXT in this awards here.
I mean, you're the lead reviewer on it, mate. I'd hope so.
I try my best for the little good things that we get on the show. But it's a review that makes it, isn't it? Yeah.
Aye, pal.
Aye. Yeah, Gargano saying goodbye. Obviously, we knew the news that he had to extend his contract by a week to be at War Games. He had his War Games. He said after War Games, I'll speak to you Tuesday. Then that was us on like
tenterhooks.
Yeah. Fucking, we've got 2 days to find out. Oh gosh, he's actually going. Oh no. And Johnny Takeover is no more takeovers. That's it.
What really threw me about... Oh, go on, mate, go on.
I was just... He gets the last 10 minutes of the show, or maybe, I don't know how they done it live, but that was a weird one. Fuck Santos Escobar. That's fine.
Oh, yeah, they just cut his match, didn't they? Like,
cut his match.
Stopped happening, yeah.
Halfway through it, yeah.
Really?
Gargano got the last
went to an ad break, and all of a sudden, like, the match just wasn't happening, and Gargano was on his way to the ring.
Fair enough.
So he got his last 10 minutes, and then he basically spoke for the heart. He was going to be a dad, all that noise. It was, again, much like the CM Punk one. It was just a very truthful, honest.
Just raw, like unscripted, yeah. Like he even came out. He was like, "Oh, like Sean said, I could say what I've got as long as I want."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, he also says goodbye. My most important job is to be a dad. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah,
that was lovely.
And then the swerve at the end, dickhead Grayson Waller,
shitbag Waller,
shitbag Waller. Let's go.
And finally, nomination for the best promo, CM Punk and MJF.
Yeah, all right. How many times in its short history have AEW opened a show with a promo segment?
Not often.
It's very, very few. It's less than 5, probably less than 3. How many times has that promo segment gone for half an hour?
Never.
It has now. I mean, this was when CM Punk arrived in AEW. Obviously, all the dream matches and situations start running through your head. Like, oh, Punk v Darby's happening, brilliant. Then we get this, then we get this. And the one thing everyone went to was like, oh, can't wait for Punk and MJF to get on the mic and go into each other and just rip into each other. And yeah, they just let it happen, like unscripted, like no direction. Just let them go. Let them just say whatever the fuck they wanted for nigh on 30 minutes. And it didn't feel like half an hour's worth of talking. It was so snappy. It was the chemistry was electric. It was back and forth. There was some great references. You know, Punk called MJF a less famous Miz, which was great. MJF was saying, like, ironically for Punk, whose finish is called "Go to Sleep," he looked like he was the one who needed to have a good nap. He said he looked like, even though he's straight edge, he looked like a meth addict. It was zingers back and forth, like for a good while. And again, this is another one. It was so good and so important and so massive that again AEW have made the entire segment available to watch on their YouTube channel, which they don't do often. Like the entire 20+ minutes, you can just watch the whole thing.
Nice.
And yeah, it was as close as you're going to get to the good bits of the Attitude Era back in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite part of that promo, which was really kind of understated, was the fact that when both guys were talking, they didn't have the other cut them off ever. They had the other taking in what they were saying.
Mm.
And then it was almost like they were formulating the rapport in their head. So like when like MJF's like cut, like literally like ripping the back out of Punk for 5 minutes at the start, And Punk's just like nodding his head, like, okay. And the first thing he says is, I'm so disappointed in you. Is this all you've got? And it was just like, oh, fucking hell, okay.
In corporate speak, that's called active listening. There
you go.
I mean, AEW is blessed with riches in terms of, I mean, like I could have put Punk, Eddie Kingston in this as well, which was excellent. I said the one that came out of left field was Hangman for me. The Cowboy Chip promo was legitimately my second favorite promo of the year. That was my other pick for this category. But yeah, Punk MJF. Like there was so many times in wrestling, you have these like can't miss segments that fizzle and die. But for it to actually just go, oh no, these are two of the best on the mic, and they actually did deliver, and it was brilliant. It's lovely.
Nice. So on to the results then. In fourth place was Jay White's Wrestle Kingdom 15 promo. In third place, Johnny Gargano's farewell to NXT. In second place, CM Punk's return promo. And in first place, CM Punk and MJF. Jay, what were the percentages?
So Jay White got 6% of the vote on Twitter, 0 on Facebook.
That's disgusting.
Gargano got 7 on Twitter, 0 on Facebook. Punk's return got 31 on Twitter, 33 on Facebook.
Ooh.
And the Punk MJF was, again, a landslide there, 56 on Twitter, 66 on Facebook. Hard to argue, really. I was going to pick this one myself. I voted for this one myself because I thought, yeah, it is the best. It was the most entertaining for me to watch live.
I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Wrestle Kingdom's in the mud. Let's go.
Isn't it? Christ.
I don't think it's gotten that bad, but like the rate at which it's fallen out of wrestling consciousness is alarming.
Steep.
Noki didn't die for this.
What's our next category then?
All right, next up then we have Tag Team of the Year. This is the Tony Khan Award for Tag Team of the Year.
Is that who it's sponsored by?
Sponsored by Tony Khan and
Uncle Tony
and his obsession with collecting tag teams. Like the fucking Pokemon.
Fucking Ash Ketchum.
So our nominees for this year are the Young Bucks, Pretty Deadly, the Lucha Bros, and the Usos. So let's go to Troy first for the Usos.
I picked the Usos because my other picks were Young Bucks, Pretty Deadly, and Lucha Bros, and you all picked them all. Yeah, I'd have put Lucha Brothers, but it was already chosen.
Yeah.
Usos have always been one of my favorite tag teams, and I'll be honest, there isn't a lot of other standout tag teams in WWE for me that I really enjoy watching. As you say, AEW is a kind of like spoil of riches. Is that the phrase? Kind of when
embarrassment of riches.
Embarrassment of riches. That's it. Yeah. When it comes to tag teams. But then NXT UK, like they've got some fucking awesome tag teams.
You want to put Gallus down there, don't you?
Definitely, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it was kind of Usos were a pick. I was like, this is what I'm left with because you'd kind of all picked everything else. But they've always been a favorite tag team of mine. And they've kind of played, whilst they're tag team champions at the moment, they've certainly been kind of second fiddle to everything in the overall Roman Reigns storyline, but not necessarily from an in-ring perspective, but from a character perspective, how they've played their roles as the right and left-hand men of Reigns. I think they've been really impressive. So yeah, that's why I picked them.
Cool. I mean, it's just I'm not obviously. I think it's a good pick. Although it's a little concerning when they're the team that's had the best year in WWE and one of them got done like legally.
Yeah.
And yet they've still been the best tag team with the best 2021.
One of them's been injured for half a year as well.
It's not a criticism. It's a criticism of how WWE treat their tag team division.
Yeah. Or at least WWE stateside, because
Well, Jay, why don't you tell us all about the Pretty Deadly?
Yes, boy. Pretty Deadly are my favorite tag team in wrestling at the moment, I think, just because of like everything about them. Like the presentation of them is fucking brilliant. They're just spoiled rich kids. But like well off British rich kids. So like they look like they're about to go fox hunting wearing like fucking game blouses and the cummerbunds.
Dandy highwayman.
The dandy highwayman, indeed. Just the fact that they're absolute shitbags as well. Like they're really kind of like old school, but also like kind of playground bullies.
Yeah.
In the way that
they have made tag team fuckery an art form.
They really have. They really, really have.
Obviously, they won the tag titles this year. They ended the reign of terror of Gallus finally, and they've got every single match they've had has been absolutely banging. Like they've had two with Mustache Mountain, both really good. They had the one against Gallus where they won it. They had the one against the Coffee Brothers as well. Mm-hmm. Even like they had just a random match against Nathan Fraser and Jack Stars, and like just them being horrible bastards, like isolating the man, just doing so much cheating.
They do one of my favorite spots where like one of them runs around the outside of the ring and the other one hides like behind their corner, and like as he comes around the corner, he just like fucking yeets the guy over the guardrail.
yeah.
Which is fucking beautiful.
Love even that. Down to the names of some of their moves, like their finish is called Spilt Milk.
Yeah,
they use the dead leg as a way to put someone down. Proper schoolboy.
Isn't one of the moves called Crossed Swords?
Yeah, where it's like one jumps over the other and spears the guy.
That's good. They're just so good.
They're just brilliant. Again, same thing as I was saying about A-Kid. I feel like they'd get a lot more recognition of how good they are if they got away from NXT UK. As much as I hate to say that because I love watching NXT UK.
But at the same time, I've got the fear that like this time next year they'll be doing the job to Jack and Tom.
Oh God!
Either that or.
Don't disrespect Jack at time like that.
Wow. I don't want to see Ikemen Hero taking a shit. Again.
Picking up a jacket off a bathroom floor.
But yeah, just as I say, just the general shitbaggery of their tactics is just brilliant. And go watch some Pretty Deadly matches because they're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Fair. Okay, we'll move over to AEW. Aaron, you'd like to talk about the Lucha Bros.
I mean, I had 3 names for Tag Team of the Year, and all 3 of them are in this list. So, yeah, like it just shows you how very close we all were between the 4 of us.
Not the Dirty Dogs, right?
No Dirty Dogs in this one.
I love that he didn't put Dirty Dogs in the Tag Team of the Year, but he still wanted to drop Zot Dolph into one of the categories.
Lucha Bros, what can I say? If you've never seen Phoenix do whatever it is that he does, voodoo magic.
This Phoenix, top lad.
Yeah, voodoo magic. I don't know what you call it. It's ridiculous, and I can't do it.
Sorcery.
For those of you listening on the podcast, that Troy just produced the actual wrestler Phoenix.
Oh, they'll see. People watching this on YouTube will see because it's going up on there.
And to accompany him is his brother Pentagon Jr. or Pentagon L0M, who is a scary bastard who does horrible pile drivers and just
breaks people's arms for fun.
Yeah, just breaks people's arms for fun. They're tag team champs right now. Every match they seem to have is ridiculously good. Obviously, you've got matches that we'll speak about later on, I assume, that are fantastic. I don't know how else I can sell them to you apart from they're very, very good.
Like,
outstanding. They are outstanding.
Is Phoenix on a technical level the best wrestler in the world right now?
I would argue that.
Quite possibly, yes.
Can I just say I had Phoenix as my second choice for Wrestler of the Year?
Is Pentagon?
Really? I had him there.
Is Penta also in the top 10? Almost certainly.
Yes.
Yeah. That's mad. You can put both of them in a singles category and as a tag team. They're that good.
I'm like, that's the thing as well. Like, I'm always clamoring to see the Lucha Brothers as singles guys. And yet I've not been doing that this year because they've been doing so well in the tag division that it's like kind of scratching the itch. Whereas when AEW started, it was more like, but I want to see Penta like just murder like that guy with a pile driver.
It's good when a company treats the tag titles like their world titles, eh? It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's
fantastic.
And treats multiple tag team titles like that as well.
Yeah.
Like the AAA ones feel like a huge deal, haven't they, recently?
Yeah, right. So for the last one in this category, I have stay with AW. I have put the Young Bucks Now, there is very little in my mind that separates the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks. I think on their day, in any given match, the Lucha Bros are better bell to bell. I gave the nod to the Bucks for two reasons. One, because of travel issues have meant that the Lucha Bros have missed a little bit of time in AEW this year. They've been caught a couple of times where they've not been able to get to shows, and they've not been able to compete in matches, most recently with the FTR match that didn't happen the other week. And two, I think we are now in the point in 2021 where we have to make a serious case to say, are the Young Bucks the best tag team of all time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And number three, Aaron had already picked the Lucha Bros.
But the Young Bucks have been doing this now for like 15 years.
Yeah.
That's what I say. That's what I say. Like, we were all so similar for our tag team of the year. Like, it was just trying to pick, like, you've not picked that one, so I'm going to go this one.
Remember
I pick every single one of these as a number one.
Remember that period at the start of the year where, like, every episode of Dynamite we just start with like a 20-minute Young Bucks 5-star match.
Yeah,
like literally every week.
Just chucking that out on free TV.
Who the fuck ever? Like, fuck the Acclaimed. Yeah, fucking Varsity Blondes, bring them in. Yeah, just fucking who's next? Like, fucking the Wingmen. Yeah, all right, bring them in.
Yeah, like the start of it was before they turned heel, wasn't it? So they basically were doing what CM Punk's been doing, like the arse end of this year, where they're like going up against like up and coming like teams, and putting on absolute bangers with them and going, oh yeah, these guys are ones to watch.
I mean, it's not made my match of the year, but like the match where they retired, they broke up SCU, was like legitimately one of the best psychology work matches.
Yeah.
In AEW this year, it was incredible. Because just the visuals, and Matt Jackson is. And I know people joke and say, they just spot monkeys and they just do flippy shit and they don't sell anything. Matt Jackson is like legitimately one of the best psychological wrestlers in the world in terms of how. And Nick Jackson, you could make a case Nick Jackson's the most improved wrestler of 2021 at this point in the game. Like him turning heel has been a revelation in AEW.
He actually has a character. He isn't just a spot monkey.
Yeah.
the fact as well, like he had that match with Bryan Danielson, which like is widely regarded as like the best match that's ever happened on Rampage.
Yeah.
And some of the matches that have happened on Rampage, it's like, well, fuck me, if that's like the best, that's
like not many tag teams could come out dressed as Ghostbusters, come out dressed as guys from Space Jam, and yet still have like one of the best blood feuds of the year.
Because they don't have the budget, mate. That's why.
So yeah, for me, again, this is a bit of a legacy pick in a way, because I think like you have to take into account the weight of their entire career. I think there is a case, certainly by the time they're done, but I think even right now there's a case to be made that the Young Bucks are among one of the greatest, if not the greatest tag team of all time.
I'd go as far as saying, based on the tag team title run, they've been the best tag team champions AWC.
Yes.
I'd say that.
I'd agree with that, yeah.
No FTR in this list? Oh,
FTR were my second choice. I did have Lucha Bros and Young Bucks, and then I was like, I saw you had them as well. I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to change that. So I was like, go on me.
Do you know what surprises me? And it's difficult because, as I say, I choose all four of these number one. The Proud and Powerful aren't on here. Having won the Breakout. Well, not Breakout. Was it Breakout? Was it most
underrated?
Underrated. Yeah.
Proud and Powerful, I think, would have if they had the WrestleMania. Same with FTR. I didn't put them in because they had like a period of time where they weren't really doing a lot when Cash got injured. So
fair enough.
Because of that, there's been like sort of like ebbs and flows for FTR.
Proud and Powerful just haven't done enough. They haven't had the platform that these teams have had.
Proud and Powerful got that Hager stank on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough. That's cool.
I mean, they did have a fight with FTR in a nightclub with Conan DJing, which was fucking awesome.
Fucking right, they did. That was awesome.
Well, Tully was dressed like he was in Dexy's Midnight Runners. Don't forget that.
It was like the scene at a police academy. It's what that felt like.
And they did like fight into a lift and then just disappeared forever.
Is that the one where Swoggle was in a cupboard wearing a nappy? Was that?
No, that was only in Vegas. That was the hangover bit in Vegas.
That was when the hangover.
That was when they bought weed off Conan.
Yeah.
Go on then. Who won?
Right. So, from in ascending order, and it pains me to say this, in fourth place is Pretty Deadly. No boy.
But it does go back to what you were saying.
NXT UK.
Yeah. It's kind of a a double-edged sword. Like I want more people to see Pretty Deadly, but I don't want Vince to see Pretty Deadly.
Yeah.
If they could just do exactly what they're doing now, just in front of like 20 times the audience, that would be beautiful. Can we just have that, please? Also, there's a case to be made that of all the tag teams in this list, who have all held gold this year, they had arguably the strongest reign.
Yep.
So shame to see them down in fourth. Number 3, the Usos. I say, probably the best of a. I don't want to say the best of a bad bunch, not in terms of ability, but in the way they've been presented in WWE.
Just the best of a thinning bunch of tag teams.
Best of a limited talent pool is the way I put it.
The thing is, it's not even like they have like lots and lots and lots of great matches. It's just been the whole storytelling with Roman Reigns that's elevated them so highly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you like New Day versus the Usos, then you're set.
Yeah, exactly.
If you like anything else, then you fuck out of luck. Then in a 2, we've got some. So it's an AEW 1-2, but which way is it gone? In second place, it is the Young Bucks.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Possibly a controversial pick. I don't know. We'll throw to Jay in a minute for the numbers, the tail of the tape. We'll see how close it was. And at number 1, I mean, well, again, let's choice at any of these teams were worthy winners. And I just think the Lucha Bros have captured this because of the sheer dynamic of their match. Like they're easily the most dynamic tag team out of all of them. Like the Young Bucks can move, but they are getting on a little bit now. But the Lucha Bros just don't give a fuck, do they? They're just like, it's like watching them act on fast forward. It's great.
Phoenix is my type of wrestler.
I mean,
I fucking love it.
I could watch Phoenix wrestle like, literally forever.
Yep. Endless Phoenix.
Oh
boy!
I think if you go back and like watched every tag team match in AEW, I think you'd probably find that the Lucha Bros matches have the highest number of fight forever chants, or this is awesome chants.
Yeah,
like almost certainly,
without a doubt. Yeah.
They in terms of in-ring action, they do the most to move the needle. The Young Bucks are like really good at like putting together a great match, and like they make everything like good. But the Lucha Bros are a spectacle.
Yeah. Lucha Bros are a spectacle. Young Bucks tell a real good story, I think.
But if you're only watching like the odd episode, and you're not into the story, you're not into like the long term, then the Lucha Bros are like the Lucha Bros grab you like
they're more
so
accessible.
Quickly. Yeah.
I agree.
And they are worthy winners for that reason alone, and the fact that Phoenix is probably the best technical wrestler on the planet. It turns out an athletic style anyway. So Jay, do you want to give us a quick breakdown of the numbers?
Yeah, this was a pretty close one. So Pretty Deadly had 5% on Twitter, 0% on Facebook. Usos 14 on Twitter, 0 on Facebook. Wow. The Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros had 50-50 on Facebook. 36% on Twitter, and Lucha Bros had 45%.
Wow.
Now
close.
I retweeted the tweet yesterday, and the Young Bucks were way ahead. So it's obviously like that gap's closed quite significantly.
Okay, I mean it's one of them. Like I've got another one coming up, but it's a coin flip depending on what you're into, what you feel, what you're in the mood for.
Yeah.
But worthy winners, the Lucha Bros, absolutely well deserved, and probably best. We haven't got as a category, which I think we need to add for next year. Best entrance of the year almost certainly was there.
Oh God, it was.
Yeah.
All full gear, both were good.
Yeah, but the full gear one was good, but the all out one gave me like legitimate tingles in my tingly bits.
That's true.
In my nether regions.
True.
Yeah, that's a shout. We'll add that in as a category next year.
Twitter Russian bots for the win. Let's go.
So next, let's go to best female wrestler of the year. And the picks are Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, Kaylee Ray, and Bianca Bella. Troy, do you want to?
It's so funny. This entire category is like a mirror of the tag team category in terms of the situations of all the wrestlers.
Yeah.
Everyone's deserving.
Yeah. Troy, do you want to pick? Tell us why Bianca's your pick.
She's fucking excellent. So came out of NXT and people knew who she was already. Like when there was that whole feud between Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair was the third woman in that. When it was on NXT, when Charlotte was on there, and she stole it. Like she stole the light, like stole the show on that bit alone. She then comes up to main roster. She wins the Rumble. She headlines WrestleMania in arguably the moment of WrestleMania, and then wins the Women's Championship. Unfortunately, after that, not booked quite so well. But in terms of just everything from going from NXT to Rumble winner to headline WrestleMania to being Women's Champion within a year is incredible in my eyes. And that's why.
I mean,
also, she's just really fucking good as well. She's strong as fuck. She's athletic. She's great on the mic. Her music slaps.
She kept Charlotte out of a WrestleMania main event. Enough said.
Yeah. There you go.
I think if like she wasn't victim of like bad booking, she probably would have walked away with this like quite comprehensively. Unfortunately, as you say, the booking after WrestleMania.
I mean, that Becky thing just fucked it, didn't it? Like
SummerSlam fucked it. Yeah.
God, wow.
And booking recently has really let her down as well. Okay, so Tasty, Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa. Again, this is going to go one of two ways for me, and I chose violence, specifically the violence at St. Patrick's Day Slam. Was it called?
Yeah.
She has been threatening you on Twitter.
She did threaten. Well, she threatened to spear Neil through a load of cans. After we released a Thunder Rosa inspired beer. It's called Graveyard's Tijuana. Go and buy it now from also Alphabet Brewing Company. It's real nice.
Yeah, wonderful.
Right, let's get serious. She has quite literally she's picked up the AW women's division almost single-handedly. Serena's there as well, and carried it like several miles down the road.
Without holding the title as well.
Yeah, without being a champion in any capacity. She has been the workhorse of that division. She's been and in all the ways. So she's been putting on great matches with everybody. She's helped out in Spanish commentary. She's brought her students in to do dark matches and fill up the dark and elevation cards. She runs Mission Pro. She hosts her own wrestling promotion called Mission Pro, where they frequently have taco festivals alongside their wrestling shows.
Fucking excellent.
She's got a YouTube channel that goes and gets tacos with wrestlers as well.
Yeah.
What a gem.
It's very entertaining.
And she's brought the best out of another wrestler who might be on this list, and is almost certainly they are like almost locked in like a Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn style joint destiny now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you talk about that, Jay.
Yeah. Also, big shout out to Thunder Rosa's match with Deonna Purrazzo on was it Slammiversary?
Mm-hmm.
Slammiversary.
Yeah.
That fucking band.
Just very quickly, of all the people that like AW signed this year, like Thunder Rosa feels like maybe one of the most important, like in a way. It sounds mad, but like Tony Khan bought out her contract. Tony Khan doesn't talk to people who are under contract with other companies, but he went to NWA, he bought out her contract to sign her.
That speaks volumes.
So yeah, I'll go about Britt Baker then, shall I?
The yin to her yang.
Yeah. I mean, she could have quite easily been Breakout Star on picked on Breakout Star and most improved, because she's done all those things. She started this year. But it's mad that picking either of those for us seems like doing her a disservice. Yeah.
You say that, I had Bianca Bella as my second pick for both of those as well.
So, middle of last year, she turned heel. I think it was a revelation for her, and she's slowly built herself up to being like the kind of face of the women's division. Not only that, she's an incredible wrestler. She's always been a good wrestler. I think she's kind of like ironed out the kinks of what needed to improve from being good to great. And I feel like every time she's had a title defense, building always been great, but the matches have been phenomenal. Lights Out match was my second choice pick for match of the year at one point, and then Hangman and Danielson happened, so that got took out, but still one of my favorite matches of the year by far.
Like her match with Shida when she won the title, like she almost worked face in that match. It was insane. Yeah. It was such a compelling match, and like the story was unbelievable.
Yeah. And just every single match she's had this year has felt important, because she is used sparingly enough that, because she's obviously got a faction around her. So when she's in a singles match, she's used sparingly enough that it feels like a bigger deal than it is. And I think the overall presentation of Britt in general has just been so much better. She almost feels like I'm unsure of who's going to take the belt off her as well.
And it's like,
is nice.
Even though she's an newcomer herself, she's elevated everyone else who she's wrestled. So like Ty Conte, obviously she's sort of rehabilitated Riho at the end of this feud they're having at the moment. She's got this like sword of Damocles that is Thunder Rosa hanging over her. It's just never going to go away. She's just embedded. Like she jokes like in character, like she's built this division and she's carried it, and she has. Like she's been the one mainstay throughout the start all the way through, from All In all the way through to present day.
First woman he hired.
Yeah.
So yeah. Finally, Aaron, do you want to tell us about Kaylee Ray?
Now, hear me out. Yes, it's quite the difference in names compared to the three that have been said. Not the standout of any. Well, saying that, start of the year, she was NXT UK champ. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only reason I watched NXT UK was to see her defend her title, literally against Miko Satomura. That speaks numbers in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Just to do that on more than one occasion as well. Yeah, she eventually lost it, but every time she had a match, she put on bangers. Like this year in NXT UK.
Was it this year she had that Falls Count Anywhere against Piper
Niven at the very start of the year, I think it was.
Against who, mate? Who's that, sorry?
Piper Niven.
Who, sorry?
Doudrop.
Oh, Doudrop, yeah.
Did I stutter?
Yeah, she disappeared for a little while, but she showed up in NXT. She seems to be the new, like, cool, edgy one in NXT 2.0. Even though she's a bit older than all these newcomers, they're still making her out to be one of the top stars in the division, though.
Because she fucking is.
Because she fucking is.
She absolutely is. She's superb. Yes. And she's just a top lass.
Top lass.
Just an all-round good egg.
She's come a long way from when she didn't get through like the third round of TNA British Boot Camp.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that was won by Rockstar Spud.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just, it speaks volumes that she's only been there like half the year. Like, she disappeared for a good while, and she's top star in NXT UK, top star in NXT 2.0.
It turned out she was just moving to NXT just by boat.
By boat. It took that long.
From Johnson to Orlando.
I wouldn't go swimming in the water in Johnson. That's a bit dodgy.
Come out
it has to be a glass bottom boat there so it doesn't like dissolve.
Yeah, I just thought I'd try just not go for an obvious one for this one. Try speak about a very one that should be at least spoken about.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely deserves to be in a conversation with these other three. I mean, again, it's another one. This, I said before we started this, I feel like this category has gone the exact same way as the tag team category in terms of everyone in their respective promotions based on the results.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, matches with Mako and Ginny as well. Absolutely bad.
Yeah.
Right, so let's go down, crunch the numbers, shall we? So fourth place with just 2% of the vote on Twitter and 0% on Facebook was Kaylee Ray.
That's disappointing.
Shocking. It's the whole NXT UK thing in NXT.
Again, yeah, because
I guarantee
that's all
when we do this at the end of 2022, she's going to be in there again, and she's going to be right there at the top. Without
it depends what they do with her on the main roster, though.
Okay, well, if they book her properly, she'll be up there.
Yeah.
If they book her.
Again, people just didn't see her best work. Like that's the issue.
Yeah. Third place with 21% of the vote on Twitter and 16% on Facebook was Bianca Bella. Again, victim of bad booking. We all kind of said that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Second place with 35% of the vote on Twitter and 16 as well on Facebook was Thunder Rosa. And first place with 42% of the vote on Twitter, 68 on Facebook was Britt Baker, DMD. So yeah, on Twitter, very, very close between her and Thunder Rosa.
Tony Schiavone's BFF.
Schiavone.
Skivon, Bezzy.
Nice. Is it me for the penultimate award?
No, it's Aaron. For
Is it Aaron?
Which one are we
go on
doing?
then.
Which one are we doing last?
Yeah, tell me which one.
Oh,
I reckon do match of the year last.
do you reckon?
Yeah, 'cause it's
I'll
like
do
best
male.
picture at the Oscars, isn't it?
All right, then.
I don't know. I think there's more to talk about with wrestling. I think match of the year we've already covered most of them. I think we should probably do that now.
Okay. Go on then, Aaron.
Match of the year. Our nominations are the Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros. That's the steel cage at All Out, yeah?
It is indeed.
It is, yes, I thought it would be. Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki on the AEW Rampage pre-show.
Imagine just chucking it out on YouTube for
On
shits and
YouTube.
giggles.
Yeah.
Big
Fucking
brass
hell.
balls on Tony Khan there. Fuck
How
me.
do you compete with like SmackDown?
Daddy Fat Sacks Tony Khan. Just that's it.
Whapping out for the fuck of it on free YouTube. Just like, yeah, have that.
Hey, it
Absolute-
worked.
Absolute cast iron conkers.
Like he saw Vince McMahon in a fancy restaurant and just walked up to the table and put his dick on it and told him to kiss the tip.
One we may have forgotten about because it was so early on in the year. The Royal Rumble, Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg, and the main event of WrestleMania 37, night 2, Daniel
Correct.
Bryan, Edge, and Roman Reigns for the Universal title. I'll say mine first with Drew McIntyre and Goldberg at the Royal Rumble. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I feel like between this and Mania 33, this is Goldberg's best match. It's between the two. Yes, a lot of it was before the bell even rang, but we're still going to count it as a match because, oh yeah, bastard, I was pooping my pants for the opening match of the Royal Rumble. that's
Oh,
for
I think
sure.
we all had the fear for this,
Oh,
Yeah.
the fact that Goldberg could have actually beat Drew McIntyre
didn't we?
was the worrying thing. The more spears that happened and jackhammer, Drew kicked out a jackhammer. I'm sure I remember.
Yeah.
He did.
I remember your soul like leaving your body. Like, whatever that was going on. Like, this match was entertaining for me just because I was watching you watching it, and that was for me was like the best, like one of the most entertaining things I've seen in wrestling all year.
Oh, absolutely.
Having like fucking conniptions.
Existential crisis that Drew was possibly about to lose the belt.
The fact that it was the first, like, it was the opening match of the show, so it was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
This will always, I think, in recent years anyway, this has been the most, like, involved I've been in a match and, like, actually...
Certainly in WWE.
Like,
Certainly in WWE, yeah, anyway.
it wasn't
Definitely.
it wasn't like a technical masterpiece. It wasn't a 5-star classic. What it was a big meaty roller coaster.
Yeah. As I say, between this one and the match with Lesnar at 33, I think between the two is the greatest match Goldberg's had in his career.
Yeah.
Personally.
I
just-
enjoyed this. This was good.
This was just like watching 15 minutes of like buildings collapsing.
Like the opening
Controlled
match and
explosions.
the opening match and there's broken barricades and finishers galore and
Remember, there were no fans for this either.
there was no
This
fans
was
either.
still in the Thunderdome as well.
It's just mental.
Like good shout for one of the best matches, certainly in the Thunderdome era.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call, mate. Good call.
Next up, we'll go for stay with WWE. The main event of WrestleMania Night 2.
That was banging, wasn't it? Fucking what's not to like? Any match with Daniel Bryan in, any match of Edge in, any match of Roman Reigns in. I love triple threat matches, and this was a really good triple threat. And triple threats tend to, or at least in WWE, follow that very same kind of cookie cutter thing. Like two guys, one guy's out, one guy. Like this was just constant. It was just a barrage, and it was ongoing. There was so many dynamics to it. It was just really, really fucking entertaining. Was this not Bryan's last match as well for WWE?
No, he
No,
wrestled
but
Roman, didn't he? In
Roman
like his
on
like,
SmackDown.
retirement match.
I can't remember if that happened before or after
No,
this.
that was he wrestled Roman and like banished him from SmackDown.
that
And
was
that
it.
was his last match.
Yeah, it was just really, really cool. I thought it was an awesome way to end Mania. Like this is the main event of night 2. I thought the finish was pretty cool. I loved the moment where they both had Reigns in a submission in varying ways. and just it was cool. It was really, really good, really enjoyable, and a real standout as well from what I thought, as I put it in my event of the year, a standout from a pretty decent card. The other thing about this as well that a lot of people spoke about was not just the characters, but the actual men behind the characters and their journey to each of this. Like Bryan and Edge both having to retire through injury, having that second chance at coming back. Roman Reigns having to, remove himself due to like a second bout of leukemia and this, that, and the other. All three of them having their like personal journeys to get to this moment to headline WrestleMania was a really, really nice, like kind of underlying story too.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like you say, when triple threat matches are at their best, they have this like relentless sort of like wheel, like spinning wheel, sort of like two guys going, but there's always this X factor, this third guy who has to come in, and like it's hard. It must be hard to keep that timing up, and you have to be a really like AEW did a really good one as well this year with Pac, Cassidy, and Kenny. But this was WWE's version of that sort of match they did a lot earlier, but it was hit the notes that the best triple threat matches do, where it is just that relentless like carousel of like threat all the time.
Yeah,
excellent.
We'll go to AEW Rampage pre-show. Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki.
Oh boy, what's not to say about
big TK testicles?
First of all, before you go to this, Jay, can we just go through that sentence? Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki on the AEW Rampage pre-show. Everything about that sentence is insanity.
Is this not the only AEW Rampage pre-show we've had as well?
Basically,
what sounds mad when you say it? Sorry to interrupt. What makes it sound even mad is you go Bryan Danielson against Minoru Suzuki for free on YouTube. Because that's what it was.
So just a bit of backstory on this match. The whole reason it happened the way it happened was that SmackDown had been given like an extra half an hour on the network, so it was going head to head with the first half an hour Rampage. So Tony Khan was just as I say, just got a dick out. He was like, all right, fuck you guys. And decided to go like for the an hour against an hour. So he put he put Bobby Fish and Lee Moriarty and then this match on the pre-show Rampage, and this was just 20 minutes of Suzuki and Bryan just beating the living shit out of one another.
Do you like two men trying to slap each other to look like a pizza?
Do you like chops? Because there was a fuck load of them in this match.
Absolute chop shop.
Minoru Suzuki 1.0 selling, getting his head stomped in by Bryan and just laughing. I think it was this match where Bryan bust Suzuki open as well.
Yep.
They just, as I say, they just beat the shit out of each other, and it was free.
Suzuki turned around and be like, "How dare you make me bleed my own blood?"
It was just a really stiff match. I think it was the first proper time since like he went to AEW from WWE that he kind of like showcased, this isn't the same this isn't the same guy who you're seeing as that Daniel Bryan for the last like 10 years. This is me being Bryan Danielson again. I'm going to stop people.
It wasn't the first time he showed, but I think this is when he confirmed it. It's like if you were concerned that he was going to lapse back into his like softer character, like because he had that banger with Kenny, and then everyone's like, "Oh, he just did that because it was Kenny, and it was the Kenny match." And if you were under any sort of illusion that he was going to like lapse back into like a comfortable, safe style of working, it was like, no, he's just going to beat the shit out of everyone.
Yeah,
he said in his press conference he's here to kick people in the face, and look, this is exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah,
complete disregard for his own body and his opponents.
Yeah,
banging, loved it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and finally, the steel cage match for the AEW tag titles at All Out: Young Bucks versus Lucha Bros.
This match was like several several personal crises in my life. From the entrance, and we talked about it earlier, the Lucha Bros entrance, they felt like fucking superstars going into this match with relatively little build. Like there wasn't like a massive year-long feud behind this. It was just they won a tournament to get a title shot, or a battle royal to get a title shot, and then they had a little program with the Bucks, and then they had this match, and they just managed to ramp the stakes up from like 0 to 1,000 in like the space of a month or two, which for AW is like a relatively short build, especially for a pay-per-view because they have the pay-per-views quite spaced out. I mean, this had everything, didn't it? It was just like, do you want Phoenix in a cage to do Phoenix things on a cage?
Yes, please.
Yes. Do you want Matt Jackson to kick someone with a fucking Jordan with tacks on? Yes.
Please.
Do you want everyone to bleed? Yes. Do you want everyone to get super kicks? Yes. Do you want everyone to get pile drivers? Yes. And then to cap it all off, Lucha Bros win. It's a huge field goal moment. You see Penta's kids, which is fucking weird. He doesn't have
crying
kids.
daughters.
He's not a person. He's just an entity of pure rage.
You take his mask off, it's just a shadow with eyes.
His mask is all
like when you take Kane's mask off and No Mercy.
They did it earlier this year. You take Penta's mask off, and underneath it's just another mask.
Yeah.
This was excellent. It had emotional near falls. It had like a DIY spot where like I think was it Penta saved Phoenix from like a super kick. It had everyone just taking the biggest bumps and piss and blood. And the Bucks, when the Bucks like sell their asses off, they're peerless. Like they are incredible. It was like not many wrestling matches I'd describe as breathless. But this was definitely one of them.
And it's one as well that really holds up when you go back for like a second watching or a third watching or a fourth watch. I've watched this match more than any other match this year, and there's a reason for that because it's just like a really good match. You can just kind of put on and like kill like half an hour with.
Yeah, it's like a 20-minute movie trailer.
Yeah.
It's just 20 minutes of all the best bits.
Yeah.
It's like they take like the last like 5 minutes of an Okada match and turn it into an entire match.
Yeah.
We'll go to the results now for it. In fourth place, was fully expecting it anyway. Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg at the Royal Rumble. That's fair.
Again, I think most people just probably forgot it happened. Like,
Yeah.
it was so long ago. It was a tough one.
Early on, right at the start of the year.
Yeah. And third place was the AEW Rampage pre-show, Danielson versus Suzuki.
Don't know how I feel about that.
Oh. And second place, WrestleMania 37, Daniel Bryan versus Edge versus Roman Reigns. So it's confirmed that Daniel Bryan, the character, is better than Bryan Danielson.
No. Nope. Don't like that.
Nope.
And finally in first place, which is very fair, is the cage match at All Out between the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros.
Yes.
I was too...
There's no dispute in that, is there,
No.
really?
No.
How can you argue it?
Yeah, I mean, in the famous words of Scott Steiner, the numbers don't lie. They spell disaster for you, it's sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
So
Sacrifice.
McIntyre Goldberg got 5% on Twitter, 0% on Facebook.
Oh, that's
harsh.
Danielson Suzuki got 10% on Twitter, 0% on Facebook.
Again, I think that's more an issue of like people probably didn't see it.
Yeah.
It's free on YouTube.
If you didn't see it, go and fucking watch it right now. Just type that into your Google search bar and watch it.
It's literally free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Mine just has Goldberg in the title, so people stayed clear.
People automatically don't want to search for that.
Gives people a fear. Brian, Edge, and Roman got 13% on Twitter, 0% on Facebook.
What?
And the Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks got 72% on Twitter, 100% of the vote on Facebook.
Jesus Christ.
That is, if that's not a consensus pick, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Undisputed. Can we allowed to use that word?
Yeah, you can. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Match of the year is the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros. I mean, it's a testament to the four. I mean, they are it's literally the two top tag teams in all this
the world
fighting each other.
Yeah.
In a cage. Like, how can that suck? Well, Exhibit A, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Spoiler. It really fucks.
I think it's safe to say, as a spoiler alert, for when we do talk about our matches of the year, that this is probably going to be like the My Way vote, where we all kind of go, yeah, that's the number one.
Unanimous, yeah.
Just because it was fucking incredible.
Sweet. So, on to the final award of the show, the prestigious Best Male Wrestler of the Year 2021.
Sponsored by Nick Khan.
Sponsored by Nick.
Just test it, please.
As in the one guy I won't release this next year, I promise.
The nominations are Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, MJF, and Roman Reigns. I will go to Bryan Danielson. Who picked him and why?
I picked him. I know Big Tasty had him as well. This is number 2 pick, didn't you? Or did you have?
Yeah, no, he was my second pick.
I mean, the first and foremost thing is he's literally main evented WrestleMania this year and had 2 5-star matches in AEW. First and foremost, the fact that he literally as well, he's had a run of about 4 months in WWE, then he's had 4 months off, and then he's had a 4-month run in AEW. And it's been like both runs have been like night and day, how different they are. He had some absolutely amazing matches against Roman, obviously the triple threat as well at Mania in WWE. In AEW, he had the draw with Kenny, the draw with Hangman. His match with Miro on the pay-per-view was amazing.
Kingston.
Obviously, the Suzuki one, the Kingston one.
You could argue that all of Bryan's AEW matches could go in the top 10.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He hasn't had a bad match in AEW this year at all.
Is he undefeated as well?
Yeah.
He is undefeated. He's got 2 draws, but he's never been pinned or lost. And yeah, just as I say, like both runs have been night and day. You could argue that it's like almost like 2 different wrestlers because he's obviously a lot more kind of, there's a bit more pageantry in WWE when he's like cutting promos and stuff like that. And in AEW's like, I'm just here to beat people up.
And his character work as well. Like he turned heel on a dime in AEW and it felt natural.
Yeah.
It didn't feel rushed at all. It was like, oh yeah, here we go.
And he's having the time of his life just being a massive prick to Hangman. Like, and you can see it on his face every time he comes out. Like, I know he loves it. A little bit of character thing. He's obviously a heel, but he still comes out the face tunnel.
I'd never noticed that.
Because he believes truly deep down that he is in the right. He's still a babyface in his own head.
Looking brilliant.
I'd like to think that like a gorilla that just like, right, go through that one. He's like, that get to fuck and go through that one. I'm good. Fuck you.
Yeah. It's like he literally left Ring of Honor doing his best wrestler in the world shtick, put it on ice for a few years and then came back, and it's like finding like an old like jacket in like your wardrobe and go, I've not worn that for ages, and putting it on, it just feeling natural.
Like $1 million.
Yeah. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah. In many ways though, like so this, when he cut his promo at the end of All Out, the off-camera one, he's very much like the flip side of the CM Punk debut. So Punk was like, yeah, I went away and now I'm back. And Bryan Danielson was like, no. I took wrestling wherever I went. It's always been with me. I've always carried it. Like I've always been professional wrestling. It's not a case of like I went to the sport. No, I took wrestling to the sport entertainment place, and now I brought it here, and it's fucking trouble for everyone.
Yeah,
deal with it.
Yeah,
nice, solid choice, mate. Solid choice. MJF.
That was me. All I really need to say is top heel in all of wrestling right now.
You reckon?
I think you can make that case. I think.
I would say so personally in my eyes.
I think the difference, because obviously the other one that springs to mind is Roman, which we'll get to shortly.
Pretty deadly, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think the difference between like MJF and like Roman is that Roman still has people who like him because he's a cool heel.
Yeah, like
whereas MJF's just a bastard.
MJF
outside of Long Island,
absolute piece of shit unless he's in Long Island. Then he's
babyface. MJF is not real.
Second biggest babyface behind Sam Gradwell. And he's the second heel behind Mark Andrews, just to clarify.
Babyface MJF cannot hurt you. He's not real. It was just a dream.
It's a glitch in the Matrix.
That being said, babyface MJF entrance in Long Island could be in the argument for entrance of the year.
Oh, it was so
fantastic.
It was including the little video package beforehand.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The video package where he goes to where he played college football in his jersey and everything. He's just like, wow. Come a long way, kid.
Yeah, he doesn't have that many matches for the year, which is quite he's a heel. You're not meant to see him.
He doesn't wrestle that often at all, does he?
you're not meant to see a heel. He doesn't want to wrestle. Is the thing, though.
You say that, but there's plenty of heels about that do wrestle regularly. Kenny Omega was heel, wrestled fairly regularly. Bryan Danielson's a heel, wrestles fairly regularly. Like
the whole MJF is you want to see him get beatings as well. Is
true,
the thing.
true.
If he's not in a fight, he's not going to get beatings.
MJF's got the money to have guys in front of him to stop him from having to wrestle because his cronies deal with them first.
Can we say on a shoot level, he also legitimately let Chris Jericho staple a piece of paper to his forehead as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Do that.
That's the only downfall to his year is losing to Chris Jericho. But I won't go over that again. I went through enough weeks of that.
He did redeem himself by beating Darby Allin with a headlock takeover, though.
With a headlock takeover, like you said,
Christ.
yes.
And also, he did survive, like Sting, like throwing him head first into a concrete floor.
Yeah.
This week on Dynamite.
Sting just lawn darting him to the fucking outside.
Like, his mic skills are exceptional. When we do see him wrestling, he's very talented.
He's surprising, man. As I've said before, I don't watch an awful lot of AEW, and MJF doesn't really wrestle that often, and I managed to catch one of the rare times that he did wrestle, and that was against Darby Allin, and I was more than pleasantly surprised
And
how good he was.
Going into that match, that was the whole, you all know me for being great on the mic, but you totally forget how good I am as a wrestler.
The promo he cut like immediately after that match, they showed it on the next week's Dynamite where he was where he was there like drinking his like sports drink, like with blood like all beat up and everything, and he just literally was like fucking exhibit A. You say I'm good on the stick, but I can't do it in the ring. Well,
there you go.
He loses. Yeah,
proof is in the pudding.
It's just I love to hate him so much. It's
He's
so
like
fantastic.
He's what? Sorry,
he's a modern day Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
He's
That's the best way to describe him.
And he
minus the awkward blackface.
Yep.
Instead,
it's just mahogany orange, but it's fine.
Mahogany.
Shout out anyone who's interested in Jeff. Go and watch the documentary on YouTube. Was it Making Maxwell Jacob Friedman?
Yeah, by Kenny Johnson.
Yeah, it is phenomenal. It's a 30-minute documentary looking at MJF like behind the scenes, but he stays in character for the entire thing.
You say stays in character. Is that not just him?
Yeah.
If you've ever heard of a film that's on Netflix called Creep about a guy who gets someone to like document his life, it's very akin to that. It's fantastic.
It's awesome. Little cameo, your boy Bivens as well.
Yeah, Bivens makes a little cameo.
Lovely.
It's awesome.
My pick was Roman Reigns. Long overdue a heel turn, and it's not just this year. He's been here. Obviously, it was previous, but has done the work of his career in this last year. Whether it's him on his own, him with Heyman, him with either Jimmy or Jay. He, not just for me, but for many people that I speak to who are wrestling fans, is the sole reason that they watch SmackDown. He, for me, has carried WWE through the last year, has been the most compelling character, the most compelling storylines, has had some amazing matches, like some superb matches. A lot of people knock him. A lot of people, don't believe in his in-ring talent, what he can do, but just watch his body of work over the last year. Everything he does has just been absolutely outstanding. Really, really, really good. And I'm not tired of it yet either. And I thought I would be. I thought I'd tire of it quite quickly, and I haven't, and I still want more. But as I say, it speaks volumes when the majority of people I speak to say that the sole reason they still tune into WWE is to watch Roman Reigns. If you'd asked people 2 years ago, that same thing, it wouldn't have been him.
Roman Reigns turned Brock Lesnar into the biggest babyface in the company.
Again, who'd have said that even 6 months ago? It's just incredible. Like everything that's going on there. Outstanding in my opinion. Finally, Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega. What can you say about Kenny Omega? The best bout machine, Mr. 6 stars in the Tokyo Dome. It's a bit of a weird one because up until he won the title at the tail end of last year, like it felt like a lot of people in AW were waiting for him to be unleashed and to sort of go. Like he wasn't in New Japan Kenny. He sort of almost purposely took like a bit of a backseat at the start of the company. Like he didn't want to push himself straight to the main event. And then when he did, he took the title off Moxley, and he held the title for the best part of 2021. I was so tempted. I was so close between him and Brian Danielson, for my pick. I think what put me over the edge was when it came out just how fucked Kenny was by the end of his title reign. So to put it in perspective, he had a shoulder injury, he had a hernia, he had vertigo, he had a neck injury. He's out for like probably close on 6 to 12 months from these injuries. He's worked with them for 3 years. He's had an entire world title run. He's wrestled John Moxley in a death match. He's wrestled in a triple threat match with Pac and Orange Cassidy, which was not a slow match. He's wrestled
Brian Danielson to a
30-minute draw against Brian Danielson.
Yeah.
He wrestled Christian Cage in a match that had no right to be as good as it was. Jungle Boy,
then the triple threat.
Alan Angels.
Yeah.
He's put on. He's almost been so consistent that he's almost a little bit gone under the radar. I feel
he's been the best bout machine.
Yeah, and he's done it whilst literally physically falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just. I'm not saying that you should have to in the world of pro wrestling. If you're injured, you're injured, and you don't have to. But he has just nutted up and just gotten through it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason he chose to do it.
If this is him not at 100%, think how good he's going to be once he's back.
I don't even know. Is he 70, 80, 60%? Like what level is he at physically? Like the ring is literally spinning around him while he's trying to fucking do all these matches, by the way. He has to practice in a spinning ring that they built.
I was going to say, he had to train in a ring on a turntable, didn't he?
That's mad to think of. I've said it before on other episodes of the podcast, from someone that suffers quite frequently with vertigo. Just being sat in front of monitors like we are now is a really fucking trying experience, making you feeling physically sick and nauseous. To throw yourself around in a ring for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes with that going on is absurd, let alone the stack of physical injuries on top of that. It's incredible.
And he's done all this whilst being the face of the company, whilst doing the meet and greets with the fans, and by all accounts in public when fans meet him is the nicest person. Like it doesn't let anything. He hasn't let any of this get on top of him publicly anyway. Yeah, he's been phenomenal. He's been the best wrestler. He's Kenny Omega. He is the best wrestler in the world.
Kenny by Omega.
So on to the results. In fourth place was MJF. In third place, Brian Danielson. In second place, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. And in first place, the best bout machine, the cleaner, Kenny Omega.
Omega.
Jay, tail of the tape. Give us them stats.
So, there wasn't many votes on Facebook for this one, so it's a bit deceptive the way it's turned out. So I'll explain it. So, last place MJF, he had 7% of the votes on Twitter. He got 33 on Facebook. However, only 6 people voted on it. It was only 2 votes, so it didn't really count. This was the least voted on Facebook for some reason.
What, the category?
Yeah, maybe just because it was. I don't know how the numbers work.
They
Roman,
don't lie though. It's the main thing.
No. Brian Danielson got 20% of the vote on Twitter and 0 on Facebook.
Wow.
Roman got 29 on Twitter and 17 on Facebook. And Omega got 44 on Twitter and 50 on Facebook.
Crikey.
So yeah, it was a bit of a weird one because I had to probably go into the votes on this one because there was so many. So doing the maths that way, I figured that one out. But yeah, that's how more or less unanimously for Kenny.
Yeah.
But obviously it was quite close, and in the underneath it.
Are we shocked by any of the rankings positions who came first in any of the categories, or are we all fairly?
I don't think so. I think it follows. I mean, I don't want to be. I want to be gracious in victory on a personal level. No. Doing that in a big. But like AEW have pissed these awards for the most part.
Yeah.
And because obviously, WWE are kind of in shambles at the moment, and AEW are doing quite well. So it doesn't surprise me to see. I didn't think I'd get Eddie Kingston for Breakout Star. I thought that was a bit of an obscure pick from me, but people fucking love it. People fucking love Eddie Kingston. What can I say?
When Aaron picked Danhausen, I thought he was a lock. The fact
that's mad.
Maybe we had a category next year for like internet champion or like social media champion. Yeah. Because if we had that, Danhausen would have won it, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put like Nyla Rose on there as well. She's great on Twitter. Danhausen, obviously. Even like Mikey Ruckus, you could put on there for like because he's got a good Twitter game. Austin Gunn's been good on Twitter. Just don't go back too far.
In the last 2 months, where the Billy Ass and the Ass Boys have been doing stuff with Danhausen, they've been quite good.
Yeah.
Sweet. That was it.
One thing I'd like to see next year, maybe some sort of commentary award.
Okay. Well, like commentary on a particular match, or just a standout commentator throughout the year.
You could do either or, because we talked about this like a lot. The work that Taz and Excalibur did on the Hangman Danielson match this year was phenomenal. It deserves recognition, like really does.
Pat McAfee as well. He's been really good.
Yeah,
I'll only include that category next year if Mauro Ranallo returns back to wrestling commentary full time.
Let's finish it off with FMW is better than New Japan. It's been confirmed on this podcast.
What have you got to lower the tone?
£14 worth of Russian bots can't be wrong.
Japanese bots, I love you now. Come on now.
And on that bombshell.
On that bombshell, thank you. Thank you.
Missile.
There's so much smoke from that bombshell, you won't be able to hear or see us end the show. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for giving us your votes, your opinions, your feedback on social media around these end of year awards. We love doing these, and more of these to come over the coming years, hopefully. But yeah, we've been the Untitled Wrestling Podcast, and we wish you a happy new year, and we will catch you in 2022. All the best. Bye.
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 Hello, yes, Danhausen here. Danhausen has been summoned. You must love this podcast housing, the Untitled Wrestling Podcast housing.